Oh boy. It's devil time? You absolutely know it. Thank you, Kate, for the raid. Gotta calm down. I've been waiting. If this is peak, where's the mountain? I feel like we're about to find it, to be honest with you. I feel like we're about to find it. Woo! Alright, we left off yesterday's stream on such a fucking high note. Why are we here? Kate ended early. I was like, well, I want to play. So here we are. Can you blame me? Do you remember yesterday? Someone get shot or something? Yeah. That is a Thursday thing now, yes. That is a Thursday thing. She started an hour earlier. She did, but she also said that she was going to end at the same time. Luckily, I ate beforehand. So I'm ready to go. Blow someone away and save Morgan's life. We did watch it. I think they were aiming for Sosuke, not Morgan. Morgan, I think she was reaching her hand out. Before we go, what? Ah, shit. Who was the shooter? Were they cop aligned? Absolutely. Or a blue blood assassin. I don't think those are necessarily different. I had to click in order to get here, so let me go like this. Okay. Like a street orphan? Oh, it's possible. By the way, watch this. Oh, look at this. Crazy. I was doing stream related things this morning. I know. Fastest sumo around. Yerp. Tato, you don't get to see that one yet. I have the button right here, but you don't get to see that one. Yeah. You don't understand. I took a 3D model, made it into a Warudo object, and then turned that into a throwable. So now you can throw Tato. What about after stream in Discord? Yeah, I can do that. I can do that for sure. All right, have we done everything we needed to do before we can get started? I want to get started. Y'all good? Thumbs up, everyone. Waiting for Kate. Kate already rated us. Hopefully I'll be around this motherfucker. All right, okay. I've taken 60 seconds to yell into a couch pillow, so maybe now one of you can tell me what the hell happened out there. How did that man manage to get into the courtroom? The building? With a weapon like whatever the hell that was. It was his own arm, Madame Barrows. Modded illegally at some literal chop shop. Fully prosthetic, but fairly low tech. Used a simple air intake system and projectiles made out of enamel. Enamel, as in teeth? Where on earth do these people... Doesn't trigger any metal detectors, looks organic from the outside. Okay. If you're aiming at flesh, it gets the job done. And our metal detectors all that stand between a crazed gunman and the law of the land? No, Your Honor, we're looking into it now. We already found some discrepancies in the personnel files of the courthouse security team members. He probably got his hand on a key card, lost, bought, or stolen, and had it modified to get him in the building. Alright. So this guy was very clearly more blue blood. But would that work? Only needs to work once. This time it did. I doubt he expected to leave alive, so... You ask me, we're lucky he struck with something more directed instead of an explosive. This is a nightmare. What am I supposed to do now? The jury must be horrified. I don't know how we could proceed. As I recall, the adjutant cut their feed the moment Officer Rogers mentioned the Hound of Icaria. So they didn't actually see the shooting. And by the way, how does a patrol officer know that my client is the lead suspect in that case? Would anyone like to explain that to me? Well, you have to ask Organized Crimes. But the mood around Rogers has been celebratory. I'd imagine there were plenty of cops eager to describe in detail what he'd achieved by catching Sosuke red-handed. Allegedly. There's no presumption of innocence in station locker rooms and cop bars, counselor. True, fair. So the OC department buys Rogers a round of drinks. And 24 hours later, I've got a shooter in my courtroom. Who was he? Drew's been ID'd as Bowen Brenson, low-level muscle in the Blue Blood. Alright, so he was a Blue Blood thug. But the question is, he had a lot of stuff that made it seem like he was more of an escape, right? A one-time use tool rather than a member that mattered in any regard. Priors for possession, dealing, assault. Yep. Attempting to carry out an assassination in a courtroom full of cops is quite the step up. Any connection to Creek's pod? What kind of muscle? He said assault, so I'm guessing that kind. Meh. Older generation, different part of town. Not exactly thick as thieves. So, trying to execute Sosuke wasn't an act of revenge. He was given orders. Yes, it's very interesting, but it's a job for the police to handle. Counselor Morgan, I assume you'll be filing for a mistrial? About that. I feel it's in my client's best interest for the trial to continue. Morgan, when she has the chance... I believe Morgan thought he was aiming for Sosuke. I think that's why Sarah moved in front of Sosuke instead of Morgan. I think if the aim was at Morgan, Sarah would have calculated that like immediately and went to protect her. Instead, she went to protect Sosuke. To me, that more or less proves he was aiming for Sosuke. In front of Morgan? I don't think so. Sarah moved in front of Sosuke. Sosuke pushed her down out of the way. Like in instinct because he's supposed to be the bodyguard. I think that's what happened because the order of people is Morgan, Sarah, Sosuke. Right? On the stand. Was we just push the trial back a month? No, I don't think we will, actually. I think Morgan wants to go right ahead with this. What? A Blue Blood gunman just tried to shoot him. But the jury didn't see that. All they know right now is they've been giving a long lunch. You too? The goal, Your Honor, as I've always understood it, is for a defense attorney to do what's best for their client. Right now, clearly the Blue Blood Mafia has convinced my client killed 4 of their men. And every cop in the city thinks he killed Officer Chopin. He walks on a mistrial. He won't be able to walk down the street without getting shanked. That's true. Sosuke Icaria doesn't need a mistrial. He needs a media blackout. I really hate that term. She's right, Your Honor. If the story spreads that the Blue Bloods tried to assassinate Sosuke, every juror in the city will assume he's guilty. We won't be able to find anyone over the age of 10 who hasn't heard of him. Let alone put together 12 unbiased peers to judge him. Even if that's true, and even if it's possible, what you're asking for is... Detective, is the building still in lockdown? Standard procedure says to keep it that way another half hour. We would have to... The stands were full of police officers, and any one of them could. Ambulance chasers will pay prime for a story this rich. Someone's gotta break rank. Gonna break rank. We don't need the blackout to last forever. We just need it to be intimidating enough that the story doesn't leak until the trial's over. Nothing tied up and put in a hostage situation. Yeah, continue the trial. Which will be when exactly? We can finish tomorrow. There aren't that many witnesses left on the docket. Finished tomorrow. Yes, Your Honor. That's fair. Fine, fine. Yes, we'll have a blackout. A big, scary old blackout, like we're the shadowy masters of the universe. Happy? Perfectly. Thank you, Your Honor. Detective, follow me. You'll need my authorization to activate the building's blanket protocols. Right behind you, ma'am. Surprised to be arguing for the same thing as you for once. Thanks for not gagging from the effort. Any other defense attorney in the city would have taken the mistrial. Dump the Hound of Icaria on some other idiot's doorstep and cash their check. Some other idiot, huh? Or is it that you can't dump him? You under house arrest already? I haven't felt threatened by them. That could change fast if you fail them. House Icaria are high society, haven't you heard? I'm beneath their notice. I don't think they'd bother to axe me just for underperforming. Sounds like exactly the kind of thing that high society types would do. Going this far for your client, though. You know me. Defender of the weak, champion of the downtrodden. I'd go through a lot more than this to keep my face out of the papers. Hopefully, when the story does eventually leak, the focus should be entirely on Sosuke. But if this means people start recognizing me, remembering me, Bowen Brenson will be glad London did him in one. I'd twist the knife slowly as a second hand if he's... You okay? Compared to you, I guess not. Never seen anyone get shot before. Oh. Right. Sorry. No, I'm sorry. That was... Maybe I'm feeling jealous? I spent all this time poring over crime scenes and diagrams, trying to get inside the head of Heartbreak of all people, and maybe I get it into my head that I'm some kind of unfeeling badass. Just to freeze up like a deer at the sight of actual violence. Hey, that's called being very fucking normal, actually. I'll need to get over that. Do you? Do you need to get over it? I have a responsibility. A prosecutor isn't a hangman, Emma. No, the hangman does their job right. The neck snaps and the subject's dead before the pain ever reaches their brain. If I do my job right, Sosuke Icaria spends the rest of his life drooling on himself while Megs haggle over the property rights to his gray matter. If you feel that bad about it, you could always recommend a lesser sentence. That's just the thing. I've never felt that bad about it at all. Runs in the family. The way she whispered it in that half-stuttering sigh. I'm not sure she even heard it herself. 4:08 p.m., August 15th, State Building. Floor 48. Alright, that should free up your phone from the blanket. Thank you, Detective London. You're welcome, Counselor Morgan? Something I said. You didn't say anything yesterday about what the Hound of Icaria really is. Come on, there's a lot of code names to remember. Would you believe me if I said I didn't put 2 and 2 together? Maybe I would if I haven't seen you act that fast back in the courtroom. That was a lucky shot. Me when I'm fucking lying. From across the room with the crowd moving around him. Yeah, real lucky. I know, I'm agreeing with you. Though it would be a lot less lucky if you were, say, already watching him. Did you know? No, but I'm flattered you think I'm brave enough to stick around for a shooting I knew would happen. But you recognized him. Tickled a spot in the back of my brain even in disguise. It helped that the guy was fidgeting around all day. Morgan is good at recognizing shooters? True, but apparently so was London. Brenson had been in the courtroom all day. How long had he waited to take this shot? He was obviously waiting for like the crowd to be like that, right? Did you get a good look at him? I did not. You shot him very fast. Eyes bloodshot to hell and back. Nosebleed. Flush. Extremities. He was high as a drone. Probably metahexphalin. Considering how well the Blue Bloods have done pushing it. Metahex. Nirvana? The party drug that college kids are huffing. It's been a long time since I was in college. I guess it could be good for a party in small doses. I'm hypothesizing here. Don't take this out of context. Sure. But at higher doses, A couple of months ago, I saw this guy stumbling around one of them open markets. Eyes dilated, mouth moving a block a minute. He knocked over some bicycles, so I cuffed him to the rack, hoping he'd sober up within the hour and I can move on. Took a phone call. When I looked back, he was trying to chew through the chain. He broke 4 teeth. And he had started biting his arm by the time I knocked him out. Ew. But anecdotes are cheap, and one bad trip hardly slow the ball now that it's rolling. You believe the hype, think they're gonna legalize it. Then the next 2 quarters, if you ask me. What'll happen to the Blue Bloods monopoly? Up in smoke. Pharma megs and dispensaries of the world will step in to reap the rewards. The Blue Bloods will have to slink off and cook up some other haze to push. The gray tide rolls on. Blue Bloods have legitimate income sources, right? Like Cyanus, sorry. Yup, some of them are even pretty profitable, like their host clubs and pink rooms. So if the Blue Bloods can run those businesses just fine, why can't they stay in control of Nirvana once it's legalized? There's competition and name recognition and locale and real estate, and basically they can't afford it. Yep. The buy-in's too steep and everyone past the door likes it that way. Legal drugs are a whole other realm of profitable. Folks like the Icaria do not want to share. Gee, not even on special occasions. Well, like I told you, there was that meeting last year, but their play date fell apart. Hey, what you said back there in court about Prop 492. Really buy that. Tarek Chopin working with Blue Bloods? It's quite the unlikely pairing, I'll admit. But that might explain why it ended the way it did. I agree. I think the theory's pretty good. So, what was the verdict? The verdict is only handed down after the jury's finished deliberating. That may take. The show must go on. And the shooter? Getting introduced to the accommodations down at the morgue right about now. He was some blue blood muscle named Brenson. Ring a bell? As I've said, all the Blue Bloods are all... He tried to shoot you, Sosuke. I was standing very close to you when it happened. I like a little more detail than that. I never met him, never heard of him. That's the truth. But the Brenson family is known to be enforcers for Blue Blood leadership. So it's the old guard who want you dead. Does that make the young bloods an enemy of an enemy? Didn't you tell me Creek was a young blood? Considering what I'm on trial for, I doubt they're fond of me either. God damn it, Sosuke, who doesn't hate your ass? I need to try harder to disregard the nonsense that comes out of the adjutant's mouth. Might be starting to sink in. Sosuke, you were captured when you could have been ignored. You were tortured when you could have been ransomed. And now these people are trying to kill you in one of the most secure buildings in the city. What are they after? Why are you at the top of the Blue Blood shit list? Is it because of... I mean, it's gotta be the Hound, right? But no. I mean, yes, but no. But yes. Last year's meeting. There's no way it's last year's meeting. Called being doomed by the narrative. Something the Hound did. Did you help one of the old guard retire early last week? That particular messenger communicates only with the highest class of clientele. Corporate rivals and the rest of the nobility. Yes, the Hound of Icaria is known in the lower wards, but he isn't truly feared there. And he hasn't taken the life of any Blue Blood, noteworthy or otherwise, in over a year. So not since you were reassigned to guard duty. It has something to do with Renegin. Makoto seemed hesitant to discuss anything to do with them. Ooh. That's because that's the house way. Aurea Holdings takes care of Renegin and the like. If Makoto appears to know anything about their inner workings, that would be a breach of house lines. It's just a red herring. Is it because of what happened a year ago? How do you know about what happened a year ago? A meeting between the old guard and the house, apparently. You were going to work out a deal for the Ikarian network to distribute a Blue Blood product. Or the mask. Why would we want the basement cooked swill the Blue Bloods make sold in our storefronts, our pharmacies? You wouldn't. Not until after Nirvana is legalized. Yes, I figured some stuff out. Stop pouting. There was a meeting last year, yes. A private meeting that was to be kept strictly confidential. The IFG met with the old guard to discuss a deal. Fell apart, voices were raised, weapons drawn. I was in the shadows and I stepped in front of a blade. For Makoto. The house elders were perturbed afterwards. They feared for Makoto's safety and perhaps felt that they had grown overconfident. The hound is a useful tool, but not indispensable. They ordered me to guard Makoto full time. Isn't that a great honor, guarding the heir to the headship? Of course it is. Then why do you sound like that? You get points for picking up on it, but you need to learn how to take advantage of it. So your deal fell apart, blood was drawn. I kind of assumed that was par for the course in your world. It's not unheard of. So why are the old guards still trying to kill you and Makoto a year later? I don't know. I don't know, Morgan. Because I'm not an old guard. Is there someone we could talk to who is? There's always someone. For a price. But if that's how it's gonna go, I'm gonna need a drink first. Here to join. What are you talking about? Sorry to disappoint, but I was here first. The net's slow as shit in this wing of the school. No one else comes here if they don't have to, so it's a quiet spot to read. Yeah, it is a detective mystery. So what? Like 5% of the books in the library are. Well, it's not like I own the room. If you want to convene your club meetings here with all your many members, I can't exactly sue you. Especially not since you're going to be some big shot lawyer. Join your club so I won't get evicted. Isn't that like blackmail, counselor? Mutually beneficial, sure, so it's just plain old corruption. You'll just find out there in the adult world. Whatever, as long as you don't go around telling people I'm a member, you can put me down. We need to add our phone numbers too? No, I don't actually care. Something wrong? Why would you think that something's wrong? It's very unusual for you to wake up mid-transit. When you decide to nap, you fall asleep very fast and you sleep very deeply. Suspiciously so. Sometimes I'll try to wake you and I could swear you're just pretending. I have no idea what you're talking about. Besides, you're the one who's been quiet. I had been bothering Sosuke, I think, pestering him about catching bullets. If you were bothering Sosuke, he'd say it. Turn to the side in that bitchy pose of his. But I can't catch a bullet either, even though I'm fast and I can see fast. Sosuke was the one who acted while I just... Sosuke's trained for that exact kind of thing. Trained for his whole life the way he tells it. Father built me to be strong, I should be able to. David didn't build you to be anything, Sarah. He didn't even really build you. Just watched you grow. And do you think I am still growing? Even still developing? Think I could get taller? I think you shouldn't get your hopes up about that. Come on, you can bounce back faster than that. I'm sorry. I suppose I am still processing what we saw back in the courtroom. Detective London took out that shooter. I know that Detective London has been a police officer for many years. It stands to reason that he'd act decisively in circumstances where so many lives are at risk. What I'm still thinking about is the man he killed. Yeah, but there's only so much speculating we can do about his motive until... I'm not thinking about his motive. I'm thinking about how he is dead. You haven't been out and about that long. Everything's new to you, even the most ordinary stuff. Guess I forget that includes the extraordinary, too. You've seen violence like that before, then? Yes, I have. Seen people die? Yes, I have. Seen more people die than most your age, most lawyers? Probably a safe bet. It's a private subject, isn't it? Death is always private. I'm no exception. Do people ever get used to it? I can only speak for myself. Have you gotten used to it? Every time is like the first time. Hope that everyone is like you then. Doesn't seem like the kind of thing anyone should get used to. Sorry to disappoint you then. There are no people like me. Horrible news, Sarah. Morgan wasn't lying. Morgan wasn't lying, but not in the way you want. Irashai. 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 To which I owe the pleasure of hosting my two favorite girls. One Sarah, who's the other? Figment of my imagination, apparently. Do you want something to drink? What do you recommend? I just got this case of beautiful, tawny deep reds from volcanic soil across the seas. Savory and full with notes of cherry and oak. Sounds delicious. You just described a tree down to the dirt. Well, I would very much like to try it. Sorry, you're underage. She's an android. A very realistic one. What do you say to customers who walk in and see her drinking at the counter? Irashai? True. Two waters coming right up. Wait, back up. Your client is the Hound of Icaria? And I was the last person to find out what that actually means. It should be easy enough to tell whether he did the deeds or not. The Hound always leaves a calling card. So I hear, is that literal? Stark white business cards laid neatly on the ground with the house's insignia. I don't understand why the house would go to such lengths so that the victims know who attacked them. These neo-ability types, their whole lives are galas and boardrooms and cocktail parties and wine tastings. Torture. Where every sentence has a front and back side to it and every glance is a whole unspoken clause. To them, an unambiguous act of violence is an exclamation point that they can't misconstrue. And the Icaria aren't exactly at the top of the neo-ability pecking order. Reminding the others that they've still got their fangs is a viable strategy. They know they're outclassed in terms of how many mountains of gold they have. That doesn't explain why such a supposedly great assassin has gotten made on more than one occasion. Well, he's probably just doing his job there. If all he needed was to get away with murder, he'd be a prisoner or a sniper, poisoner or a sniper. All the major houses love to use body doubles. He kills a target behind closed doors, their house can just bring out a spare. Or hell, claim the entire thing never happened. But if the Hound kills where a house's rivals can see, the damage sticks. You know a lot about the neo-ability, don't you, boss? Are you considered part of the neo-aristocrat autocracy? Do I look like I got that kind of sway? I don't run a bar in Midtown as a hobby, kid. Wouldn't know it, looking at how profitable your wine section is. It'll catch on. The Hound was a nasty surprise, but the big reveal isn't making anything click for me. Blue Blood assassin trying to mist him mid-trial. I don't get it either, but the Blue Bloods aren't as rational as they used to be. Used to be? I traded with them a good deal when I was younger, and they were richer. Traded what? Ahem, stock tips. Oh. Lying, by the way, Sarah. This is before the Icaria cut them down. I was a young man hungry to establish myself, and the Blue Bloods were the biggest game in town. The rest weren't even a twinkle in some psycho punk's eye back then, and the Icaria cartel were just that. Drug smugglers and dope runners. The Blue Bloods used them as couriers. A reversal of fortune. Could be their names on opera houses and hospitals all across the city today if what? The Icaria hadn't killed them all. But didn't they have allies connection? The morgues were overflowing with cerulean blood. No one wanted anything to do with them. But they were the victims. Corporate partners are risk averse. Political alliances require you to bring something to the table. When you fall that far, that fast, the common folk assume it happened for a reason. They thought that the Blue Bloods deserve it just because it happened to them. All that was left were the old timers, the grandparents, and the great uncles, all suddenly without heirs. They recruited latchkeys and orphans during the Red Decade, found family that became the first gens and then the young bloods. What about the money? You're starting to sound like a real human. Some of it, the cash, the gold, the jewels, the Icaria just stole. The vast majority of it was held overseas where it was safe, untouchable, and impossible to get your hands on without the right blood. Locked behind GFA. Getting butchered by the Icaria was a bad beating, but losing that money was unforgivable. The rest of the Blue Blood Mafia around the world will never accept them back into the fold until they recover it. Exiled from paradise because they tempted fate with their hubris. Has a certain poetic charm to it now. It would have to be a very sobering poem. Those are the ones you remember, aren't they? Probably why the Blue Bloods are still humming the same old hymns, passed down, the same ghost stories and urban legends. They seem to be a surprisingly superstitious bunch, crossing their fingers over the Red Hood and, hey, what's a little lord? That's another one. New spin on one of the oldest tales in the book, A Promised Prince. The belief is that exactly one kid survived the fall of the leaves, one lone heir to all the fortune the Blue Bloods lost. Got spirited away overseas or out west to be raised in secret. One day he'll come back to reclaim what's rightfully, you know. I'm guessing you've heard this one before. There ain't truth to it. Old Guard certainly seems to think so. Need to think so. Probably what's keeping them alive. They can just hold on another 5 years. They'll finally find their heir they've been looking for, and they can rectify decades of embarrassment and shame. Thinking like that is what makes Youngblood start talking about maybe the old guard doesn't care what happens to us. What do they expect? Blood's thicker than water. The original full expression is thought to be the blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb. That actually suggests that camaraderie between those who fought together is stronger than simply sharing a common relative. Yeah, well, if that were actually true, then maybe people wouldn't have amputated the expression centuries ago. Still, this is 30 years of water, blood covenant, if you prefer, that we're talking about. Youngbloods give their life to the mafia. Each of them have to choose it over their own family. It's a pretty raw deal to cut them loose just because some sheltered kid only valuable for his DNA decided to show up after all these years. And the old guard would throw away the Youngbloods if it meant reuniting with their little lord. I know it. And so do the Youngbloods. That doesn't seem to be a dynamic that incentivizes them to look very hard for this little lord. No, it incentivizes them to smother the royal bastard. If I assume my client is innocent, that means someone else killed Tariq Chopin. Someone who didn't do it in self-defense. Tariq Chopin. You mean the son of the city councilman? Adopted son? His parents are government officials. Even if they're loaded, the Mob Act can't protect all their records. Sarah, look this guy up. What do you want to know? How old is he? His age is listed as 27, but the entry has been edited a number of times. There's been a great deal of back and forth between database contributors in the last 36 hours over the addition or removal of an asterisk. Hughes' original birth certificate was lost. Well, that's shady as hell. Only kinda. Here it comes. He was an orphan 27 years ago. That's pretty firmly in the red decade. A lot of paperwork was getting lost back then. That's a kind way of putting it. What would be an unkind way of putting it? The government of the worlds were scrambling. Wants to know about his adoption. His fathers adopted him in 2066 after 3 months of visits to Gospel Home Orphanages. Private philanthropic institution that is no longer in business. Bankrupt or bought out. Bankrupt. Damn it. They had just gotten swallowed. The parent company might have kept their records. Adoption itself was somewhat of an event. There are multiple news articles and photos of it. Not trying to cast doubt on the realness of their connection. But they wouldn't be career politicians if they let a photo op that good pass them by. Unless they wanted to draw attention away from whom they were adopting in. No, a child showing up quietly in a politician's life looks guilty as sin. They wouldn't let people think, this isn't useful. I can go in circle all day speculating about this. What was his education? Had a law degree. Okay. Who gets a law degree and then becomes a patrol officer? The son of a politician. It's not a bad path. If your superiors know you're connected and smart and can recognize when the law is being broken, they'll keep you far away from anything real. You can coast for a year and then move into politics as a veteran of the force who's hard on crime. London did mention he was far too principled to be likable or relatable. If joining up with the police was nothing but a calculated move, that means he had a clear plan for what to do after. Probably didn't involve defrauding the city in a real estate scheme. There are a few reasons why a cop would get murdered at the scene of a crime like that, but Tariq Chopin wasn't some ordinary cop. The strongest motive that comes to mind is... Wait, you think Chopin was the Little Lord? You're the last person I'd expect to believe in fairy tales, Red. Can you honestly say it doesn't fit? If we for a moment assume that unicorns and dragons and Tsuchinokos are real, I reveal Tsuchinoko in my hand and discard this card. Ah, shit, I hit Tsuchinoko. God damn it. That's a Yu-Gi-Oh reference for whatever. What do you mean? Tsuchinokos are very well documented. I can show you. Yeah, then yeah, it's possible that Chopin was the Little Lord. And if any Youngblood knew it, they'd want him dead to prevent the old guard from abandoning them. 3 thoughts come to mind. 1. This is all guesswork on your part. Even the most zealous Youngblood wouldn't off a guy just because he happened to be about 30 years old and adopted. They would have had to have seen something that at least suggested it. 2. As I recall, the only Youngblood you know of is this Creek guy. And Creek was dead before Chopin even entered the building. Here's his name pretty handily. Only Youngblood I know? 3, I can think of at least one other group that killed to prevent the Little Lord from reclaiming his throne. House Icaria. And who better to cut him down than their most loyal rook? And that would be neatly explained why the old guard would be pissed enough to try and kill Sosuke in a courtroom, unfortunately. Stay positive. Just because the old guard thinks Sosuke killed their precious heir doesn't mean he actually did. Yeah. Hey, Sarah, got some footage of me making the next one from over there in the corner. Boss? We'll shoot a promo. I just found this hidden gem where this guy made the best drink ever, that kind of thing. Where it's kind of cheap and fake, but like, you're in on the joke and it's not pretending to be genuine. Boss, with the numbers of followers Kintsugi has, a video longer than 9 seconds posted at this time of day. I don't want to hear that depressing shit. We'll cross-post or whatever. Does it have to be that corner? The lighting will be bad. Any corner, just make sure it's from a distance. From a distance, wouldn't it be better filmed if it looked like shaky cam found footage? It's more legit that way. My hands do not shake, but I'll try. What are you doing? Making you a drink, obviously. That's quite the treat. Why? Because we've got some heavy shit to discuss. Starts with ice. What did we do with crushed ice at Kintsugi, Sarah? Kick it under the fridge. Exactly. Rock ice or nothing when you're mixing a cocktail. Hang on, you taught her that? There's a drain under there. Not in my kitchen. When the ice melts, it warps the floorboard. Half a lime juice. Pay no attention to the second half I'm using here, Sarah. Red likes it tart. Now you're the lawyer, and you've got a hell of a mind for all this stuff. Egg whites. Toss the yolk unless it's a weekend, in which case, put it in the bowl in the fridge. But it seems to me like you're approaching the shooter from every angle but the deadly serious one. Or Geet. If a customer says they prefer simple syrup, you let them know we won't serve them anymore. You need to consider that maybe that shooter wasn't there for Sosuke. I told you they kicked me out after only a few minutes. No one's sending an assassin after me for that. Whiskey, black label, or higher. Then shake the hell out of it. Word of mouth can be deadly down in there in the fog. I saw her leaving the building can easily become I saw her running away. If someone wanted to get me, a courtroom filled with cops would be a pretty shitty place to choose to do it. Yeah, but it might have been the only time and place I knew you'd be. Mint for a garnish with charred cinnamon for smoky ambience. Serve immediately. A bitter blessing. Sure, with that much lime, it's a sour blessing, no? You want me to toss it out? Thank you for the drink. But I'm a nobody, Reen. No one's coming to get me. No one's even knows I exist. I hope you're right. I am. You won't know if you're wrong until it's too late. Bottoms up. You get all that, Sarah? Yes, boss. Hey, bottoms up is just an expression. You're supposed to sip it, for gods. One last thing. Apparently, Sosuke's captors talked about some kind of huntsman. If the little lord's an urban legend, huntsman's a goddamn boogeyman. Orcas shooting the shit around, burning tires, trying to make the noobs afraid to go off and piss by themselves. Right, so they're bullshit. I got the same answer everywhere, but elsewhere, but oh, they're very real. Pardon? Huntsmen, not a species native to our shores, thank God, but they're real. You just said they're boogeymen. Yeah, and the fact that they exist is what makes them so damn scary. They're some sort of assassin like Brenson, the shooter in the courtroom. Nothing so concrete. Huntsmen are virtual shapeshifters. You feel a chill down your spine one night on your way home from work, go to sleep, wake up at night to a man wearing your own face, choking the life out of you. Like calls your mom from your locked phone across the room in your own voice. But like I said, they're all overseas in more contested parts of the world where the blue bloods are better funded. You wouldn't pay for one of them to come into the country unless you had a really good use case or a weapon only they could take fully advantage of. Well, I'll be sure to pass that on to Sosuke. Why? So Sosuke can start writing his will. I wouldn't bet against him, so long as he knows what he's up against. Urban legends are myths, but boogeymans are easy to kill. How do you kill a boogeyman? Same way I'd kill anyone else. Your phone, mom's been calling. I am not getting phone calls. Oh my God. These kids, man. Let me go see. Wait, I have a new button for this. Hello, I'm back. With pleasure. Yes, yes, Morgan. I did not, by the way, not a single phone call. Not one. Whatever. It's fine. Oh, right. I actually need a recommendation from you. What kind of recommendation? A bar I think needs to be open tonight? Oh. What are you looking for? Well, it's not for me, but how much do you know about host clubs? What the hell is that supposed to mean? Just what I said. You can't enter the crime scene until you pass our security clearance. You've gotta be. You're a drug-pushing lowlife. Why would I need your permission to go anywhere? I take offense to that. I never worked in pharma. Was that a Catboy on a poster? Wouldn't surprise me? Question mark. Oh my god, more bitch. I'll be back again. Honestly, I could have waited like 5 minutes and this would have all been handled all at the same time. Oh my god. I'm back. Now that I remembered, I can just like press the funny button. We're all good. At a bar reminds me of Valhalla. Yup. Han, now is not the time to be a smartass. Reyes, it'll only take 30 seconds. You're serious? This is reality. The city's expecting blue bloods to keep her crime scene secure. Press this. Look at that. Look at how fast. Oh, I killed it with this one, bro. They're the ones committing the goddamn crimes. Hey, if that's your criteria, half the police force should be disqualified. Or is excessive force not a real crime? Are battered spouses not real victims? Because assault's only assault when it's a real person on the receiving end. Shyness is legitimate, right? It is. All the paperwork's in order and signed by our bosses. These idiots are walking around barehanded and knocking shit over and leaving trash all over the goddamn place. Should we give them badges while we're at it? Rather than investigate crimes too? We've already investigate crimes. You have any idea how many missing teens there are in the lower wards? No, because we find them. Because we actually give a shit about the people who live down here. Oh, and I'm sure your prices are very generous. Better their parents get a bill from us and a letter of condolences from you. I'm so sorry, ma'am, but he looked suspicious as he was running away. Han, not helping. Reyes, let's calm down. Sorry that I'm not calm when we've got actual orcas stomping all over the crime scene where a cop was murdered. Last I counted, there were 5 bodies upstairs. Are both your eyes broken, or do you just not recognize anyone without a badge as human? Perhaps we've come at a bad time. Nothing for it, gotta strike while the iron's hot. The iron seems very hot in this instance, don't I? Sorry to interrupt, folks. Don't mind me. I'll just go take another look upstairs. No, you. Hey, why not? You nearly died once already today. Why not let these orcas give you the tour? Was that you giving me permission? No, you and London should both be at a goddamn hospital or whatever, getting debriefed. She doesn't need your permission. She has mine. Ma'am, you can go right ahead upstairs. Talk over me again, I'll break your finger. Is that ad recording right now? That sounded like a threat. You want to hear a threat all? Clearly, this isn't gonna work. So Han, why don't you head upstairs and wait for Morgan? I don't take orders from you. Who do you take orders from? Want me to give them a call? Let them know that you're going around kicking hornets' nests and scratching your head over why everyone's getting stung? Whatever. You think you can just walk away after the shit you said? Turn around and take a walk, sunshine. London, if you think for even one, I'm not kidding, Farah. Take a walk. Forget it. You can all go to hell for all I care. Oh, no, not you. For God's sake. Yeah, fair. Sorry about the bad timing. No, that was gonna blow up no matter what. Situations like this require compromise, and Reyes is uncompromising. At least you're around to balance her out. You might be the most compromised cop I've ever met. That was not a very nice thing to say. And it shows that you haven't met that many cops. I'm surprised you're still welcome around here after what happened in the courtroom. Oh, Brenson? The Blue Bloods are a big organization, and Brenson was pretty firmly on the other side. Gals like Han who work in the gray areas might as well live in a different world. If you say so. I just didn't think the Mafia would allow the death of one of their own to go unanswered. They sent him into a courtroom packed with police with a modded arm that only had one shot. I don't think they're surprised he didn't make it back. Detective Reyes be alright. She seemed angry. More so than usual. Yeah, she'll be alright. Blowing up, yelling, cursing, that's nothing. Practically healthy. It's the ones who go quiet you gotta worry about. What brings you back here anyway? We're pursuing leads. Sounds serious. Anyone go digging into Chopin after my implications earlier today? Lady Rockford will probably take it seriously, if only to cross it off the list, but other than her, I think he mostly just pissed people off. Lucky for you, I was able to convince some techs to confirm your soundproof windows theory, but don't expect to be welcomed at City Hall anytime soon. Hadn't counted on it. Whatever else he's innocent of, Chopin did get here before anyone else, and no one knows how. Look, if he really did get some kind of coded message or secret text, there's no trace of it in any comm logs on his personal devices. It didn't come from any of the tech we've examined on site. Have you found any secret passages on the premise? Right not, little lady. But maybe you'll have better luck than me. Secret passages. In what world? Was that your whole story back in the courtroom? You and Reyes happened to be in the area? You don't want to take my word for it. Reyes will tell you the same thing. Doesn't seem like she'd want to talk to Adonai at the moment. Can you tell me exactly what you two saw when you arrived? The 1099 went out around 10:15 p.m. telling us that Chopin's heart had stopped. We dashed across the street to an elevator. We were descending at 10:17 when Rogers reported that he was dead. At 10:21, we approached from the front of the building, saw the door ajar, lock blown in. Then Sunshine and I started clearing the first floor. And gave you credit? Yeah, because Sarah's based. You didn't hurry up to the third floor where the dead cop was? Like I testified, Chopin had flatlined and his own partner had confirmed it was no false alarm. We knew we couldn't do anything for him. Rogers had already apprehended the suspect, so SOP is refocused on securing the area and clearing the premises. How level-headed. So the officer Rogers we saw in court today really did take Sosuke down all by himself? Yeah, charged in and pistol whipped him right in the head. On the head. I assume you found that the first floor was in fact clear? Yeah, all these vaults were empty. You didn't wait for Cyanus to show up with the spare keys? Surprised you didn't throw your back out, kicking down doors. Sunshine helped. Besides, they weren't all locked. They weren't. Yeah, I remember that. That one right there was unlocked, room 107. Nothing inside there either, though. Guessing the Blue Bloods missed a lock on a nightly roundup or something. Cyanus has unlocked every door in the building at this point. But when I first walked down this hall and when I walked out the front door later, how did this hall look then? If you do manage to find some kind of silent alarm, I'll be impressed. You prove that Chopin was dirty, I'll be floored. But even then, how the hell are you going to convince a jury that anyone other than Sosuke killed him? It'll be difficult without accounting for the 4 dead Blue Bloods as well. But if you take it all in as one set, starts seeming plausible as an internal issue, don't you think? What are you want to pitch this as the young bloods and old guard going at it over what? A juicy bait that Chopin literally died over. Proposition 492. What's there to disagree about? The project would put money into everyone's pockets. My theory is correct, and Chopin was killed because the young bloods didn't want the old guard abandoning them. The old guard have always hedged their bets on the Little Lord returning. Does that mean the Red Ink plans to profit off of Prop 492 or a Youngblood conspiracy? Those papers were tucked inside Creek's safe before I arrived. Well, good hunting. You won't be joining us. Not this time. I gotta go pump the brakes on Sunshine before she finds a bar. Try not to piss off the Blue Bloods with any more wild accusations while I'm gone. I would never. Take care. That goes doubly for you, Sparky. What does Sparky mean, by the way? It's a nickname, because you're so bright. A nickname! But I guess people are always calling you ads whatever they like, huh? Sorry, should have asked first. What do you mean? I'll just call you Sarah. But it's my nickname. You gave it to me. You can't just take it back. Well, okay then, Sparky. What the hell? Do you hate spearmint that much? I would never want to seem ungrateful. Seems like the smell's starting to fade. Barely even the memory of blood now that so many feet have trodden through here. Nothing lasts forever. Miss Hahn? What? No, I already called you this morning. No, they're not. No, they're not. You're being paranoid. Yes, I'm sure. Yes, I'll call you tonight. Bye. Didn't mean to interrupt another lover's quarrel. What? No, that was... Dementia meds aren't working. They get confused this time of day. Sorry. Forget it. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna turn my phone off for a minute and forget. Cute Android, by the way. So, what's up? There's a couple ways of going about this, but none of them are surefire. Might as well start out big and see if there's anything in this theory. Do the Blue Bloods use silent alarms? Yeah, of course. Thank you for telling us. Sure. I'm actually going to need a bit more than that, Miss Hahn. It's just Hahn. Did Creek have a silent alarm? She's hesitating all of a sudden. Is she unsure of the answer? She just give her first answer without thinking about where it would lead. Nothing like that installed in the building. Arcs would have chewed it up and spat it out by now. The Arcs is not flawless. It can miss things. Look, you've seen the level of tech we Blue Bloods have. It's secure, but it ain't subtle. True. An Orca-run security firm wouldn't have quite as much luck hiding their subsystems from the police as David Asher did, Sarah. But the Arcs can miss things that aren't tech at all. Set an alarm that's analog? Ha! Let me know if you figure that one out. Either alarm is analog and loud or digital and silent. They don't mix. She's defensive, but her logic is sound. Approaching it from the other angle then, how could an analog silent alarm possibly function? A literal alarm, but one that can't be heard under normal circumstances. What a horrible smell in here. Like a dog whistle. You once bragged to me about your sense of smell. I don't think I was bragging. Could have sworn you puffed your chest out at the time. Doesn't matter. If I asked you to sniff something out, could you find it? What would you like for me to look for? Still don't have a clear picture of what happened after I left. There's one thing I know should be here that hasn't turned up once yet. Do not mention the knife to Sarah! The entire building. We found a creep's corpse right where I left them. No, the one thing I should know to turn up is... Ah, fuck! Fine. Right, I'm the only one who knows about the knife. Well, I don't know where it went. I do know it had plenty of blood on it when I last saw it. What do you smell for blood? Don't I? Do you really need me to help you find blood in here? I'm not asking you to sniff in here. I want you to sniff out the window. I'll try. There are many strong smells in this part of the city, Adonai. But there is something truly unpleasant as well. Something beneath this fire escape. Okay, now go fetch. You could ask nicely. Wait, Sarah, yes? That's a very old, rusted fire escape. Take the stairs. You're too heavy. As you command, Adonai. Un instant. Several minutes later, Sarah returned looking worse for wear and seemingly in a bad mood. Did the weight comment bother her that much? Adonai, I do not like digging through trash. It is not a dignified way to investigate. Digging in people's trash is the basis of all good investigation. Easy for you to say when you aren't wearing all white. Did you find something? Yes. My knife, and it's charred? Fucking what? Charred? Did someone try to burn evidence in the garbage? Maybe that's the best bet. Yeah. I found amongst the ashes of a blackened steel drum below the fire escape. Seems to have been the site of a fire. That sounds familiar. Wasn't there a barrel burning in the alley when I first scoped the place out? There were signs of a chemical fire retardant being applied to the barrel. Police must have put the fire out when they first secured the scene. Okay. Just fell in there? I mean, the knife wasn't in a fire all night, but still. There does appear to be blood on this knife, Adonai. So how did the police and Cyanus miss it? Their noses aren't as good as yours, evidently. That is true. But they have drones and dogs for this kind of thing. Yeah, but they actually have to use them. They'd have no reason to search the vicinity for a bloody knife if they found a sword sticking out of a corpse's midsection. So we asked the police to check for fingerprints. Fingerprints are mostly oil and sweat. Fire evaporates them both. Then we have to test and see whose blood is on that knife. But DNA is damaged by heat as well. You know, before DNA analysis, blood had another forensic use. You mean blood typing? The DNA on the knife might be too damaged, but modern analytical tools should be able to at least identify blood typing. That could work, Adonai. Great. Ready to get started? Pardon? You were capable of recognizing my DNA, weren't you? When we first met, yes, but... So why don't you try your hand at analyzing blood type? It's gotta be simpler, right? It might be, but Adonai, to analyze the blood on this knife, I would have to use my... Pretend it's a lollipop or something. It's blood. Well done, blood. It'll taste like beef. You don't know what human blood tastes like. Of course I don't. Look, oh, you don't, Morgan? You never, like, had, like, bleeding in your gums? Like, come on. Yeah, it's iron. Tastes like iron. Like a weird iron. Look, the fire sanitized it probably. Just get it over with. I will reference this incident the next time we discuss raises Adonai. Fine by me, because that's never happening. Analyze the blood. What you got? There's blood from more than one person present. Mostly B minus, I believe, with some A, B minus around the tip. All right, now I can cross-reference that with the rest of the data I have. Let's see. O plus, A minus, B minus. Okay, so far so good. A, B minus on you, you say. A plus? I read that right? A, B minus, A, B minus. Thank you for the report, Sarah. You've given me a new lead to follow. Yes, Adonai. You just made your first forensic contribution to an ongoing criminal investigation. How many androids can say that? Now, come on. We've got some boxes to tick. Don't we? Our client, Sosuke. According to Rogers, this is how he found him. Wasn't escorted in a Chopin. Or merely trying to retrieve it. Not a huge improvement there. Really was found in a terrible state, wasn't he? And that was before the police gave him his cop killer welcoming in. So I bring up the medical files on Sosuke. I want to go over everything we know about how he looked when Rogers arrested him. What specifically? How exactly was he injured? His left hand was broken. He had internal bleeding throughout his torso, bruising and rope burns on his wrist where he was bound, contusions all over the anterior side of his body. He also sustained a large blunt force trauma wound on the back of the head. His biggest wound was to the back of the head. Yes, if he fell backwards to the ground. There's also a small cut on his left hand. No. Fuck. Okay, sure. As if he cut himself in the kitchen. Not expecting a metaphor there, but it's effective enough. He was covered in blood, right? Were samples taken for analysis? The blood on his torso and head were all his own. He had some of Chopin's blood on him while he was face down, being cuffed by Officer Rogers. He also had a great deal of Trey's blood on his feet and pant legs. Any other question about our client's arrest? Or don't I? Not unless there are some crime scene photos you've been holding out on me. Afraid not. How is it that I'm the only one who's made an effort to preserve the crime scene? He was escaping. Supposedly he was the first to die. Logically, he had to have been. He's the one who had the gun. If an attacker got it away from him, they must have done so first. Yes, I can see that the gun is registered to him. Right, registered. Who the hell would look at this guy with that gun and just nod him along? Patrol Officer TC and HR 1 week ago. TC and HR? Derek Chopin and Hugh Rogers? What? Huh. The badge numbers match. Seems like they detained Acker Tan briefly during a stop and frisk and found this gun on him. Find a gun like this on anyone with priors during a stop and frisk. At the very minimum, that's grounds for 28 days detainment. Why'd they just let him go? Is it possible that he was a criminal informant? If he was a CI, they wouldn't have even logged the incident. Besides, patrol officers don't have their own CIs. Perhaps they let him go for some other reason? Because they'd already gotten what they wanted from him. Make sure to copy the file of that stop and frisk report right away. Well, that's certainly... Red Ink Protocol, designed to make data difficult to physically redistribute. But anyone just take out their phone and snap a picture of the pages. Seems that some of the responding officers attempted to. The ARC shows that they failed. That's some fancy ink. What do you see when you look at the pages then? No more detail than you do, I'm afraid. It's strange, isn't it? They went to such lengths to protect this information, and yet these papers were left out where Officer Chopin or anyone could read them. They weren't left there by Creek. I took the documents out of his safe so I could reach the mask. And I must have left them out on the desk afterwards. This is where they found Creek's body. He was the only one who didn't die instantly. If anyone had a chance to use a silent alarm, no, he must have been paralyzed in between the time he was shot and his actual expiration. They weren't paralyzed. What do you mean? If they had been paralyzed, Yumi would have noted that in her autopsy. That's true. But he just sat there limp the whole time, didn't even try to move. The last thing to disappear? I think that's on purpose. Was he playing dead? Letting me think he couldn't move so I wouldn't notice his... Was anything found in his hands? Anything at all? Doesn't seem like it. They weren't holding something by the time their body got to the morgue. He had been holding something, but dropped it when he died. Help me look. For what? Anything small enough to fit in the palm of your hand. Hang on. What's this? What's that? Did you just jump? I was merely surprised by that sound, don't I? What sound? I just brushed against this little toy thing. You can hear it. I can. It's not exactly pleasant on the ears. It's a clicker. That's what we had something called a clicker in high school. Not high school, college. I wonder if those are more common now. Could any android hear it, or is this some kind of special feature David gave you? Imagine any android or robot or electronic device with modern features could pick up on this tone. Oh yeah, I did have one for my dog too, yeah. Maybe I should close the window before I test it anymore and stop torturing all the dogs in the neighborhood. Close the window would not matter. It's soundproof though. But the specific frequency of this tone is not in your audible spectrum to begin with. Right. But do you really think Creek was toying with that nuisance maker in their final moments? Bad to show up? Nah. Is this evidence? It's a piece of crap some crime scene tech left behind. Nothing relevant about it. Just displaying a news article they must have been reading. Apparently they've arrested the Heartbreak Killer. Copycat. Yes, the Heartbreak Killer's copycat, and it seems... Just let me skim it for myself. Foiled, arrested. An individual suspected of planning an act of terrorism has been arrested thanks to quick response from local police and well-coordinated efforts from state investigators. Trading information has not been released to the public, was apprehended by officers seemingly in the midst of preparing their attack, having already loaded a firearm and several magazines of ammunition to their victim. These have not commented on whether the firearm in question was properly tagged, but insiders with close ties to the investigation that the weapon itself is not what led to the arrest. Pattern of the net activity in the days leading up to the arrest, concerning searches and attempts to access old net portals. The suspect had already been on our radar by that point, so when they posted that manifesto, we were able to quickly secure a warrant for their arrest. The manifesto in question consists of what was, at the time, a publicly accessible online document, praising Heartbreak's hardline stance against neoliberal corporate soft power, listing a number of complaints, criticism against the recent business decisions made by Hanami Robotics, most notably announcements made on their earnings call that they would begin moving manufacturing jobs offshore. But the decision landed Hanami in some country at the time. Their stock prices steadily increased in the days after. Yeah, no shit. Reflecting optimism among shareholders that Hanami's lucrative production lines of mostly heavy construction robots would no longer be so strictly tied to the national politics. The arrest was first made. No clear evidence between the individual and Hanami was apparent, but Hanami CEO has since seen speaking at an investor conference at a hotel within 50 kilometers of the suspect's residence, suggesting a possible target. Takeaway here is that terrorist acts like this one are easily caught, easily prevented, and there is no standing risk to the public. To any dissidents out there thinking that they're the next Heartbreak just because you bought a gun, you will be caught, you will be prosecuted, and your hero won't be far behind. Comment to the has yet to respond to the request for comment. Their official social media accounts have released simultaneous statements denouncing in strongest terms rising violence and thanking investigators for their swift and decisive action. Shareholders have received messages clarifying Hanami's global market strategy and reaffirming their commitment to their workers, as well as to their customers and shareholders. To relocate. Does it change how you feel? Like what you're reading, does it change how you feel? Web stories have access to hours a day before the rest of the public with a Premiere account. Okay. Seems like Heartbreak isn't going away no matter what happens to the original. So it would seem. Did we win? Who's gonna tell him? That about wraps things up here. What perfect timing for me to open Icicle. What? Oh. I did open Icicle. Right, I need to like press escape or else. Yeah, it does that. Okay, but I need to press escape while also not putting the phone away. Huh. The icicle button. True. I was wondering what Firefox window I had up that it was opening icicle, and it was the one I was using to research things to make the throwing Tato. I missed that part. But Robo Baby 2.0, aka Sarah. True. Pass. Oh shit! Wait, hold the fuck up. Mongo Baby doesn't have gray. Brother Bobby. Ooh, tears or familiar. Tears that doesn't have blue, red, or gray. Q Baby? I don't think so. Because it's not blue. I think we're looking at like Harlequin Baby. It's not red or pink, by the way. In case you were wondering. How about something green, brain? Got any green items in your brain? I got a yellow one. Sulfur. Oh! I was not expecting that. Familiar multi-trait tears? That is, without a doubt, Buddy in a Box? Yep. Trinket time. A second. Rainbow worm. Yep, you got it. Those are the entire cast of the Devil, kind of. The Tick. I think it's just called Tick, actually. And no, it can't be that. Could be like Karma. It's green? Huh. Fishtail. More than 9. Green, more than 9, but less than Rainbow Word. Lucky Seed. Let's go. It's obviously the green Tick. Yeah. Okay, well, one of these is like fucking obvious. This is also obvious. Now it's just this, and I'm like, this doesn't look very hard either. Maybe not. Maybe? Yep, okay. Never mind, I'm the fucking goat. I didn't know what this was, and I didn't know what that was, but I figured out that they were together, so. They should make a hat category? There might be one. A Pokemon, please. Pikachu. Bettabees! Hello. Oh, they have G-Max now! Bettabees. Do you mean Pikachu or Pikachu G-Max? Literally frame one typed in Pikachu, by the way. G-Max, man, you got it. Alright. Got a dude big ass Pikachu. Nothing. I'm not even shitting you. From taking. Well, you know what they say. I don't know what they say. How about Swampert? Fully evolved, stage 2 less than. Before the video started? That's crazy. That is crazy. It was not Rainbow Worm. It was not Ditto. As far as we know, anyway. 2 fully evolved? Noctowl. That's a classic. Ice. Ice, huh? Ice. Ice. Ice, ice, baby. From Gen 2? Gen 1! Oh, wait, hold the fuck up. Cloyster? Jinx? Yep. Fair enough. Duskull? No, Sinistra. Or Sinisty, sorry. Lime green, you're red for me today. It forms a water bottle at the rear of its body and then covers its head with it. Meeting other blank means comparison Araquanid. And then Dewpider. There you go. Well, fucked up. Put in the wrong Pokemon. Fuck. Okay. Typhlosion? I don't know. Numel? I actually do like Numel a lot. Fuck. I still think Numel was a good guess. Shieldon, I think? Yep. Okay. Aries. Normal? Fuck. Tropius. It was definitely not Tropius. That one I knew. That one I knew for sure. 3x3, baby. Blue eyes. Uncle Midnight was looking at the poison candle. An angry llama was not in the old mall. The old mill. All right. By the revolution, a hammer and sickle was in the locked gate. Possible. Major Red brought a hammer and sickle. Possible. Hey, now, Vice President Mauve was in the library. Maybe. I believe these two. I don't trust Uncle Midnight here. Hammer and sickle. At the locked gate. That means you had the llama. Vice President Mauve was not in the library, which means he was here and he was here. Now, does this add up? No! Contradiction spotted. Well. Looks like you're telling the truth, Uncle Midnight. Was in the library. Now, who's lying? Vice President, maybe? Perhaps? Okay, that's Major Red. Which means if this works, though. Wait, hold on. You're telling the truth. The hammer and sickle was at the locked gate, and you did not bring this, which means you brought this, which cannot be correct. So yeah, no, Major Red is lying. Fuck. The hammer and sickle was not at the locked gate. It was Major Red with the hammer and sickle at the old mill. Bam. Akinator guesses, baby. Red. Red is the color of blood. True. Why didn't anyone tell Morgan? Yellow, Miku? You just mean Nero? I could do Nero. That's no problem. That should be quick, too. Oh my god, that was fast. Not blue hair. Not red hair. Not pink hair. Just gonna go through all the colors of hair. Short hair, no. Yellow hair. All right, you can say it. Group of 4? I don't know. I think it's a group of 3, but it's probably a group of 4. Live with their siblings? No, not real. Obsessed with their phone. There you go. Gonna rage quit? No. This should be over pretty quick, I feel. Yeah, I believe so. I said no there. I should have said I don't know. No. Yes. Use a fake voice? It's not fake. A real person gave the voice for it. It's a voice synthesizer, but I guess so. You're fucking with me. I don't know. It's the fucking voice bank. Don't know. Yes. No. Don't know. With the main character. Don't know. Who's the main character? From a video game. No. Okay, you're fucking with me. Fuck, he's fucking with me. Is this from last time, Akinator? I swear to God, that wasn't my fault. I don't know, probably. Right? Love songs? No. Evil Smile? No. 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 Salty about Popo? Yeah, probably. No. Great artistic skill. I don't know how to answer that. French? No. A robot sidekick? Oh my god. American? I already told you what they are. Sportsman? No. 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 Yes. No. What the fuck? No. 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 Yes. No. 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 Yes. No. No. Why on 71? Fanloid. Vocaloid's biggest fan. It's an Utao! Whatever. Fanloid. Fanloid. Oh my god. Fanloid. Fakeness fan larper. Whatever. I turned the light on. It was dark. All right. We back. Miss Han, since Scientist is technically in charge of securing the crime scene, what should we do with this? Do with what? Don't I? Please refrain from pressing that button any more than necessary. Sorry, Sarah. I can see you don't like it. But Miss Han's phone doesn't seem to like it either. It's just Han. I don't know what you're talking about. I get messages all the time. Han, ma'am, if you could please just admit it so she stops pressing that. Fine, whatever. Yes, you found one of our alarms. Pretty clever system. Not really, it's just an app. You set the frequency and get a notification if the app picks it up. Honestly, simple, works well. I don't blame you for using a system like that. The range? Couple kilometers. Damn. Thanks for clearing that up. Well, I have you here, though. Exactly how fast did you show up to the scene of the crime? Pardon? This is a blue blood neighborhood. Do you really expect people to believe the cops lumbered their way here faster than any of you could? What exactly are you trying to say? Yeah, I'm tuned to that frequency. But I'm tuned to a lot of frequencies. It's a good way of communicating without the Megs or the pigs listening in. So you didn't get this alarm the night of the incident? Didn't even know it went off that night. You got proof it did? Can you explain how else Officer Chopin could have gotten here? Nah, not my job to either. It is your job to come to a fellow Blue Blood's aid when they're desperately calling for help. I didn't know Creek like that. I didn't say Creek was the one who had this. I saw where you were poking around and they're the head of the pod, I assumed. Creek's a stranger to me, even though you're both young bloods. What? I'm guessing that's what the tattoo means. Neither of you make much effort to hide it. It is plainly visible even in their autopsy report photos. You have no idea what this ink means. But would you tell us what it means? Blood bag. What? The old guard use you as donors. Gangsters live a life of drugs, smoking, drinking, and back alley mods. That end up with livers and kidneys that look like charred steak. Who could have guessed? Got no children because the Icaria killed them all. Can't get on the donor list because they're geriatric, reviled crime lords. So what do? Hey kid, want to be a gangster? Let me see if you got what it takes. Hold still while I prick your finger. We tattoo our torsos because even if you mod off all 4 limbs, you still pump clean plasma. Every drop an indicator of quality. I'm a universal donor, so I got 3. AAA graded, just like meat. And Creek? Save it for the trial, lady. Are we done here, you think? Not quite. Emma's argument is that Sosuke didn't escape from here. He was brought out of the other room to be questioned, and then he broke free. No, that's not true. Sosuke would have been stuck here until the police arrived if I hadn't handed him the mag us to. Well, frame him. And the knife, also to frame him. But secondarily, so that he could cut himself free from his bindings. Those bloody rags there. Remember what Sosuke told us when we first met? He was bound in here the whole time until his bad Samaritan came along and gave him a knife. Now we know what knife he was talking about. And now I want to know whose blood this is. The blood on the bindings would have to belong to Sosuke, wouldn't it? All the other bloody fluids in this room do. Probably. But I need to know. You've already done it once. What's one more time? One more time will surely make me sick. Please, Adonai, let us ask one of the scientist employees on standby to analyze it. They already have a record for very fast turnaround on DNA tests, I promise. I can show you customer reviews. That's right, scientist does DNA testing. Typically paternity tests as part of their private investigative services. But they have been assisting the police with DNA analysis around the scene. I will flag the binding to be analyzed. Wait, I've already made the request, don't I? You insist on making me test the bindings myself now. You will only be upsetting my stomach to satisfy your own impatience. Fine. Okay, you know what? Owned. But I'm gonna cite this incident the next time we discuss arrays. Really is a shithole in here though, huh? I agree with your sentiment, if not your choice of words. Feels like a cruel place. What is it? Well, there's something we miss in here, don't I? No, not in here. The windows. They were closed when Creek was shot, still closed when Chopin and Rogers arrived on scene. But they were open by the time Rogers got to this room. I use that contradiction to argue for the presence of a third party, because someone must have opened them to go down the fire escape. And then what? It must have dropped down to the alley and ran away, right? Yeah. That's one option. What's the other? Fake cuts, Ares, come true. Would it kill them to do some sweeping around here? Guess it would be contaminating the crime scene at this point. But then what the hell do all these cops and scientist chumps actually do? Lean on walls and screw around on their phones? I think you're being a bit harsh in your assessment. But you aren't alone in your criticism. Detective Reyes has much to say about how Cyanus employees were not wearing gloves and knocking over trash. They had picked up trash, that'd be removing evidence. The arcs would light up. Adding trash though? Don't I? Let me look through this. Garbage again already? Just start looking. If any of it requires DNA analysis. Wait, there. Red. I don't smell any blood. Not blood, ink. A torn page of red ink documents. Well, it looks like a shoe print on it. Shall we try and match it to samples? Good luck. Cops and security types all wear the same kind of boots. On top of which, 99 out of 100 shoes in the city are made by the same two Megs. But the print isn't used, so that just leaves the actual test, and that's the letters were all run through the wash a couple dozen too many times. Well, it isn't particularly informative. I don't understand exactly how this clue fits in with everything else we've seen. But doesn't this seem important? Sometimes the red ink is already illegible, but a watermark remains visible in the corner. See why. How could I have been lying here, neglected this whole time? Nah, princess, I'll have to call you right back. Of course, wouldn't dream of it. Come on, you know me. What do you find there? More dead man's garbage? Keep it up and you girls are gonna make me look bad. Happy to be of existence. So would you like to add this to the arcs or should I? Well, it seems like you got momentum going, so please don't let me get in your way. You don't wear gloves on the job, Miss Han? It's just Han, but you already know that. You probably already know they don't really make them in my size. So if we found your fingerprints in here or on those windows or even upstairs, oh man, I'd be pretty embarrassed. You almost always get rated 5 stars. So did you need you to walk you out? I'll be fine, thanks. Suit yourself. Just be careful you don't get lost. Sun will be going down soon. Be hard to find your way back in the dark. Yeah, okay. This idea is starting to look like a pretty safe bet. The theory that Chopin was assassinated as an attack on the Old Guard? How can we confirm it? We still haven't met anyone from the Old Guard. Though even if we had, occurs to me they would be reluctant to speak with Sosuke Ikaria's legal team. Don't be so pessimistic. The enemy of my enemy is usually willing to at least talk. And talk is where I do my best work. Where do we look then? You still got the address boss gave us? All right, don't get me fucking banned on Twitch. Blue Blood Territory. Hey there, tall, red, and mysterious. Ladies, please come in. Don't be shy. Let me guide you to a booth. Local host. Should we take a seat for now? With taste as expensive as yours? If you get near a menu, these people will drain my checking account on overpriced champagne faster than I can blink. Oh, champagne. As much as you like. This is gonna derail fast if I don't find a way to shut it down. Sure, find a way to get exactly the right kind of attention and douse their salesmanship in one go. I need to go with that. Hey, please don't frown. A smile would suit your pretty face much. I need to speak with your manager. What happened? They're all walking away. Hey, man. Hey, mama. Yeah. There's some I don't know, accountant or whatever here to talk to you. The voice on the other end of the earpiece grumbles a response, a cranky one, judging by his reaction. Mom will be out in a second. You've expected to buy something in the meantime. You got tap water? You don't want to drink the tap water in this district. Soda water? It's all overpriced, lady. Might as well get something you'll enjoy. Not my first visit to a host club would be more celebratory than this. How much thought have you given the subject? I bet quite a lot. Honestly, local host? That's a pretty good name for a host farm. A really nerdy one, but still pretty good. Datapad? Aha! What kind of light reading got tossed around in a club like this? Probably something along the lines of, I spent every night of a host book club for 1 year. Here's what the staff taught me about emotional workloads in corporate settings. Oh wait, this actually looks somewhat interesting. Fungus, thymite bamboo, strokes unrest. Less than ideal rainfall patterns met with greater than usual saltwater flooding had already left many of the tropically centered macro farms that produce most of the world's bamboo struggling to meet demand. Now, with increasing widespread reports of fungal infestation, tensions are beginning to rise in the region as its largest migrant worker population is forced with the possibility of one of the worst quarters on record. Versatile crop cultivated successfully for thousands of years in all 7 continents, if one counts the agricultural science labs on an Antarctica peninsula. But in recent decades, advances in agricultural genetics and greater restrictions on the lumber industry's wood-cutting activities have led to bamboo becoming a premier organic manufacturing and construction material for much of the world. Especially for the impoverished regions that lack the machinery required to process advanced synthetic equivalents. The hardy plant can grow in a wide variety of environments and humidity levels, and has even been considered an aggressive invasive species at times. But modern, genetically modified monocultures are tailored to grow specifically in a small number of tropic, subtropic biomes, tend to provide a stable cash crop for regions that have historically struggled to farm soy, sugar, or wheat. But it's a delicate balancing act between turning a cultivar to a target environment and rendering it unviable in the wild. And years like this can put that vulnerability on full display. The fungus particularly chews through the groves. You can see it growing with the naked eye, said one worker, who requested anonymity due to concerns their citizenship status. There you go. The company tells us to just burn it all, but it's too damp for anything to catch fire. Bamboo is hard to burn. So they want us using this incendiary stuff, and they won't pay for us to have masks. Data on the efficiency of burn pits and combating the spread of the fungus is limited, but most corporate officials agree that the risk of inhalation among personnel is low and masks are an unnecessary measure. Sure. Some of the migrants' worker population, however, is arguing that the hesitancy to provide masks is more politically motivated. Plotters' rebellions was decades ago, but the gas mask is still a powerful symbol even today. Back then, workers went on strike because the conditions growing mushrooms in the fungal plots were so unbearable. Now this fungus is cutting into profits again. You've got a lot of workers dependent on the industry, a lot of young people who could easily be out of work. Be surprised if they weren't getting nervous. It is true that the region is home to a disproportionate young population. Many international trade schools have flocked to tropical climates in an attempt to attract students with promises of low cost of living and vacation-like idyllic conditions. And though education lies firmly in the realm of corporate authority, government officials are also keenly aware of the risk of and challenging associated with such a large student population. Ramsey syndrome remains a serious concern among. Okay. Back here, but judging by the article, the Megs are getting concerned about the fungus. They don't care about. It's the unrest. Fungus is a problem, sure, but they've engineered their crops around problems like it 100 times before. Easier to update the monoculture's genetics than your entire global economic model. The Megs are probably more concerned about all the young people getting agitated about their job security. The warmer the waters, the bigger the storms they brew. Bad enough that I'm walking into the lion's den here, stepping even further into blue-blood territory to defend an Ikari assassin. Do I really have to wait for the shoe to drop in a place this sleazy too? Or perhaps I'm enjoying yourself, though, don't I? You're getting better at picking up on that. You're frowning quite openly. Are we in danger of getting arrested here? There's nothing illegal about a host club. So are you just uncomfortable then? Unamused. Nothing else but to order. And they're being literal when they said you were expected to make a purchase. Probably. Doesn't mean I'll oblige them, though it's not like spending money here will make them less likely to cooperate. I would offer some suggestions based on customers' reviews and price points, but for some reason I don't see price listed on any of the items on their menu. Was a mistake made when formatting the data? I really hate this place. Fuck it. She was excited about the champagne. Ah, what the hell. Hey, Pomme d'Origine. Pour out a tower for all I care. Suddenly, as if I uttered a magic phrase or a sleeper cell kill switch, all the eyes of the sass around the room dart to me. With a jolt of energy, the bartender jumps up to ring a bell above the counter. Pomme D Tower. Sap begins an unsettling chipper chant. Tower, tower, tower. I'm not sure Sarah's eyes can get any wider. Let's take a commemorative photo, ma'am. Where would you like to sit? Who's the smallest spender in here? What? Well, I mean, we don't really keep track of that, sort of. His eyes wanders, losing light all the while until they settle into a glassy-eyed, pitying stare at an overworked-looking young man at a small table. Adjusting his tie with the girl next to him makes no effort to hide her boredom. Send it over to him for a king for a day. The same nervous smile he used to shake hands with a suicide bomber, the bartender redirects the oncoming freight towards my designated lucky loser. He looks terrified. Money well spent. Morgan! You just gave the tower away? I've got shit to do. I can't drink all that. I could have perhaps helped. But even so, after you paid all that money just pass it along to some stranger? Are you some kind of saint? Oh, I'm not paying for that. Makoto's getting this bill. Your client? File it under investigative expenses. That's not exactly inaccurate, but what's he gonna do, kill me? Given his position in the house and his age, it would be more likely he'd have you killed. Nah, he'll be fine. He'll be fine. Have you ever been to an establishment like this before? No, not even when you were apprenticing. There have been certain work parties where attendance was strongly encouraged, but I never set foot within a kilometer of a place like this otherwise. I suppose if you had a hard spending limit, there's only so much you can enjoy. It's not a matter of cost, it's a matter of taste. Surely everyone enjoys being paid attention, no? It's flattering. Everyone takes to being complimented. I cease. You respond more to being challenged. What do you think? Perhaps not. Mama on deck. The big cheese. What exactly are you expecting? The title like Mama. I expect a stern but fair, nurturing figure who... What the hell do you want? Is that the kind of treatment you would expect at this establishment after purchasing a champagne tower? That was you? Well, shit. You clearly need information a lot more than I thought. The Ikaria must be giving you the mushroom treatment. Keep them in the dark. And feed them shit. Yes, I've heard all the lawyer jokes. Now, can we talk or should I get on the phone and claim that my credit card's been stolen? You bought a champagne tower. We can talk all goddamn night if you want. Let's go! Introductions then. Morgan, Esquire, criminal defense attorney representing Sosuke Ikaria. Rivalry, let's go. With a glowing green toaster as your +1. Couldn't have put it better myself, miss. Kim Hana. Small business owner. And one of the more influential members of the Blue Blood Old Guard, I take it? The Old Guard are the only Blue Bloods that have any influence at all. First Gens and young bloods would count themselves lucky to be middle management. Should you really be calling them young bloods? Oh, now the neon robot's gonna preach to us about political correctness. Really, madam? I know PC. My gen invented PC. We've got PC coming out of our ears. So I mean it when I say young blood is a term of endearment. Well then, I won't hesitate to use it. To their faces? Better not. They'll knock your teeth out. How about a trade, Miss Kim? Mrs., you're talking to a widow. One who doesn't need anything from you. Not the best position to start bargaining from. We're trading information. If you think I can't give you anything, you're not thinking very hard. Oh yeah, what do you think you got? Am I gonna tell her that she doesn't already know? Renson's fate. Greek killer. Just how much did that cost you? All of these she knows. All of these she doesn't know. That's true. I'll tell you what happened at the courthouse today. Something worth knowing had happened. It'd be in the news by now. There's currently a blackout on media coverage of today's events. There's always leaks. Finding one will take time. I can give you a first-hand account right now. Let's hear it. Yeah! Un instant. Brenson. What a goddamn idiot. Completely useless. He did manage to infiltrate an entire courtroom full of police officers, even knowing he wouldn't make it out alive. And he still failed to hit the easiest shot of his life. But Brenson's just an incompetent addict. Useless idiot is the one who sent him there. Not you, I take it. Old guard sounds like it moves slow and wise, but we've got our fair share of hot-headed dumbasses too. Impatient, hot-headed dumbasses. Time is money. My turn to ask a question. Money, is that what you've been going after? Is that why you've been going after Makoto? Trying to drum up a king's ransom because you can't go to war without a war chest? Who says we're at war? Who says we're in any rush? Our plans are measured in decades, you little shit. No, time isn't on your side right now. Right now, more than anything, you need money. Says who? You? Says the headlines. Time's running out before you miss the bus on Nirvana, workers, Prop 492. 492 is how they're gonna get money, Nirvana. Everyone in the capital knows it'd be legalized before the end of the year. Party jokes, dumb money. Yes, dumb money. Best kind of money there is, and you could rake it in by the truckload. You had the starting capital to build a dispensary network beforehand. As things stand, the gray wave is gonna roll your hard work up in a ball and hand it off gently to the Megs and the Icaria. You've been losing this game to them for 3 decades straight, but I can see you still haven't gotten used to it. Of course not. Who the hell just roll over for those upstart bootlicking? That goddamn fox smirking behind his perfumed incenses and painted screens and sheet of gold leaf. Should have cut his eyes out when I had the chance. I'm acquainted with the hound. Who's the fox? Should we conduct a survey of all the IFG members' back tattoos? The fox, the kitsune, goddamn Daisuke Ikaria, of course. Family's patriarch. Haven't had the chance to meet him in person. Ha! Knew there had to be a reason an Ikaria lawyer didn't already stink of cigar smoke. Adonai does smoke, despite my repeated warnings about the health hazards. Have you had your olfactory checkup lately? Loss of smell can be the first sign of, I don't stink, that's the takeaway. Now admit it. You want to capture Makoto Ikaria so you can afford to ride Nirvana to legitimacy. I don't want to capture Makoto Ikaria. You know our history, in brief. What part of that summary made you think that if I had the chance to end the Ikarian line, I wouldn't take it immediately? Are you speaking for yourself or for the whole old guard? Nah, my turn to ask. Is the hound gonna make it? You're asking about my legal defense strategy, his injuries. Any chance he's gonna kneel over from an infection after Creek's pod worked him over? Did Brenson somehow manage to nick him? He's still recovering from the injuries he sustained when captured, but he was not harmed during the incident in the courtroom today. Yeah, Brenson didn't even manage a scratch. Got a scratch, huh? Did he even get a shot off? Detective on the scene responded before he could. A detective? Yes, why? Bah, now wasting a question on him of all people. Speaking of which, the bottles spun back around. The Bullet's working with the Chopin family to profit off of Proposition 492. Ha! You missed that one, try another. What do you mean? You think Mr. and Mr. Chopin are working hand in hand with us for a little cross-class embezzling? Those rich pricks wouldn't piss on us if we were on fire and the feeling's mutual. But they're backing Proposition 492 if you could buy the land they need before the city knows that it needs it. Chopin family aren't your collaborators. They're your marks. Bingo! Kid gets a prize. Or they were. The plan's worthless now. The whole courtroom heard me explain how Creek had red ink documents on Proposition 492. Whatever blueprints, whatever land the city had in mind, they'll change all of it. Thanks for that, by the way. Don't blame me, your plan was always fragile. It was destined to collapse the moment that anyone with more pull than a ticketing officer heard that Blue Bloods had eyes on the real estate. And the Blue Bloods would kill to keep those documents from circulating. Yeah, well, that's just how it goes for Plan Bs. Plan B? Yeah, answer me this. What do you see on those red ink docs that tips our hand about Prop 492? Well, it was mentioned in abbreviation, if not in name, P492. That was a pretty big giveaway. You almost have more to go on than that. Names, diagrams? I saw Councilman Long's name on there. Ha, Long, that sloppy bastard. Wait, you didn't know what was on those papers? Not exactly. You didn't know where Prop 492 leaked from. What are you saying? It leaked from that Brat Creek, obviously. Red ink means it was printed off from somewhere you trust. In a place run by people you trust. It doesn't sound like you trusted Creek. Are these your questions? Because they're terrible. And pointless. Blondie's already dead. Though Chopin wasn't in on the plan, what possibilities are left then? Might as well try asking while I have the chance. My client overheard something interesting during his captivity. Talks to the Blue Bloods bringing in a huntsman. Fake. And you don't even know what that means. Your client heard wrong, and you're a fool for believing him without any proof. Sorry, guess he misheard. You must have also misheard that you've brought a no mask into the city. Sosuke mentioned that. It's called the bluff, Sarah. Yeah, he must have been delirious. After all, if there had been a no mask at the crime scene, it would have turned up during the police investigation. Huntsman, ridiculous. Maybe he's real, maybe he's fake. Maybe he's already behind you. Phantoms like that get their power from uncertainty. If I answered your questions at all, that'd be your answer. Soldier's box is already open though, and the mask isn't there anymore. If it's not in the hands of the huntsman, then who has it? A dead man, who just doesn't know it yet. Final round. What if we still want to ask, our house, my rules. Who hired you? Why would she spend her final question on that? Makoto did. The house is split up multiple ways. Makoto Ikaria, if that wasn't already clear. Used some no-name nobody with no connection to any of the families. The preteen heir looked you up and hired you to defend his hound. Either you're dumber than you look or just less curious than a lobotomite, but either way, you really don't know the answer, do you? No, I don't, which I can freely admit. So why does having it pointed out to me feel like such a defeat? Gotta think of it, I have one question myself. That ain't the deal. Then it can be rhetorical. What are you going to do? You lost all your heirs during the fall of the leaves. Adonai, you're reviled by the International Blue Bloods for locking your treasures behind GFA you can't crack. And now all the old guard need transplants and transfusions from the first and second gens just to stay alive. And they won't be glad to keep that up forever. Eventually you, all of you, will die. Will you rest in peace knowing everything you ever managed to build will be laundered at what, 30%? 40%? 35% just to end up in the hands of some punks you tutored? What a nice young girl you are, worrying about your elders. Oh, don't worry your pretty little heads over, dear. Sweet Granny here? Because she's a mean old bitch in a line of work where anyone stupid dies off young. She and hers are going to be just fine. Don't forget to close your tab before you go. Get any useful information from your rhetorical question, Adonai? The question irritated her, but it didn't make her despair. I may have misread this. The old guard have a way forward. Is no longer an option, leaving them with plan A. The little lord, but Tariq Chopin is dead. Yeah, he is. How dare they? Uh-oh. After all they put him through down there in that festering hole of a city district, to try and kill Sosuke in the courtroom of all places. The nerve of those blue blood scum. If we just wait for him to stop, we'll be standing here until morning. So, should we speak up? I don't know. I'm terrible with children. Listen, just keep nodding, and if he calms down enough to ask a non-rhetorical question, get my attention. What are you going to do? Try consulting an expert. What do kids your... Oh, fuck. What do kids your age like? Not my birthday. I'm not asking for you. And I'm not a kid. So I wouldn't know. If it's for Sarah, I'm not a robot either. What would someone younger than you like? I don't know. Even one grade below me. Your sense of humor is impenetrable. Other day, the school announced they're gonna be doing test prep at every grade level. The top comment, before it got deleted, was a picture of a fish with boots. Yeah, okay, but that's fucking funny, though. That's really fucking funny. Yeah, that's kind of baller. That's what I'm thinking. That's fucking good. Fish with boots. And the caption was, wait, hold. battering me and frying me in oil for 4 minutes on each side. That's brilliant. Wait a second. These kids, they know what the fuck they're doing. Oh, fuck. Wait, that's incredible. Yeah. It's not that impenetrable. It's a very basic non sequitur. How's this for a non sequitur? Go ask someone else. That would do numbers right fucking now. It would. All you did was get back on topic. Why are you even asking? I need to open a door. It's so hot. Holy shit. That joke actually made it so I went over it. Holy. That's such a fucking good thing to post. It was too heat. It was too good. I've been hired by youth. I need to interrupt their temper tantrum. Well, what do you want me to do from here? Hack them some fork knife bucks? What is that? Would that work? Also, what do you mean a youth hired you? Oh, so they must be like rich. Yes. I'm like the worst to ask for advice then. This sucks non sequitur. Yeah, it really is. It's really good. What do I know about rich kids? Your academy is full of them. Why do you think I do as much of my schoolwork as possible for my dorm? Don't you at least have a roommate? Nope. Never got assigned one. Guess there was some kind of unavoidable computer error on their end. This is hopeless. You're usually good at gift giving and shit. Buttering up judges, bribing court officials, slipping coins into viziers' purses. You have a very antiquated view of what my work entails. Medieval, in fact. I heard he fasted. You know him. Sad face, sad face, sad face, sad face. You got owns, Morgan. I don't know what to tell you. Whatever photo that is failed to send. God damn it. I mean, this you. What would you do if they were a rich adult? Flatter them or whatever. Rich adults are used to people wanting their money. Flattery puts them on guard. So what's the approach? You know him. You approach them as though you already work for them. Pretend you're a butler, acting on wordless commands they've given without an original thought in your head. They aren't suspicious of anyone they feel like they already own. That almost mostly makes sense, so do that. They probably got more in common with a rich adult than kids their own age. Or, you know, anyone else with a soul. Unless there's some reason you can't do your iconic butler technique here. Because I don't want to act subservient to a child. Sosuke did strain himself slightly when he tried to tackle me to the ground, but that was the extent of it. Yes, as my ad says, no one was hurt. Well, the attacker was part of an officer-involved shooting, but no one else got hurt. Oh, well, then perhaps we should just forgive all and make peace. Those wolves will regret their actions. The anger of the house, once roused, is not easily satisfied. Shit. Thought there was a lull, but he was ready to start back up again. As Sun Tzu says, if your opponent is of choleric temper, seek to irritate him. Well, yes, but please calm yourself. Makoto of House Ikaria, we need to speak with you. About what? About Sosuke. You think he's done something to deserve this? That's not what There's nothing Sosuke could have done to justify what the Blue Bloods have put him through. I assumed as much, but Makoto has no idea what the Hound of Ikari was doing up until a year ago, does he? These questions are foolish. I'll not waste my time. A wise man can learn more from a foolish question than a fool can learn from a wise answer. Quote the Bhagavad Gita. All you want, Robot Guard. It is not impressive for a machine to. Bruce Lee said that. Well, he was probably paraphrasing at the time. Will you help us or not, Makoto? Please? If it's for Sosuke, Enough. Electric blue irises flash a deadly glare. The room's shadows seem to extend in his presence, curling and deepening the ink dropped into water. That's a gangster. Chairman? All of you, show some respect now. He says that out of practice without actually looking around the room. One glance would have shown there was no need to demand respect. Every head was already bowed. This is a man who is used to others not meeting his eyes. The rest of you get lost. Their practiced obedience didn't betray them. They all slipped away into the halls of the complex without so much as a creak on the floorboards. Even so, their anxiety was streaming at me like a bad tell, begging to be taken advantage of. His presence here today was not expected. Now then. Come here, Makoto-tan! Grandpa! Ah! How are things on the front line, huh? Makoto is the heir, so the chairman is his grandfather, of course, but my little warlord making his enemies tremble with fear every time he sets foot out the door. I was not expecting the head of the house of nobility to be so affectionate. I thought you and father were still in the capital. Well, we were. And we made a lot of powerful people in the city very frustrated while we were at it. Made a lot of frustrating people very powerful, I'm sure. Wish I had seen their dumb faces solemnly nodding when I canceled my meetings. Just to fly home and see my grandson. Bah! Ahem. Ahem, Chairman. Apologies for the lack of introduction this is. I know exactly who she is. She's our lawyer. Any good? She is not entirely incompetent. I would hope he could say more than that. And she is also somewhat perceptive, Chairman. Knows when to keep her mouth shut, clearly. How bad can she be? Her methods are odd. She came here to ask me about Sosuke for some reason. Ahaha, not another word, Chairman. Back in the storehouse, on the second floor, there's a casket of sake that I won in a drinking game I suppose it's been 6 years now. Will you go and fetch that for your grandfather? Of course, but old trick of the trade. One sip and anything we tell her becomes inadmissible in court. I see, very clever, Chairman. Koda was allowed to drink sake. The hell's wrong with you? Of course he can't drink. The ceremony of it all, damn it. Understood. I'll go retrieve it right away. I have one of those layabouts that were here. Fetch you a ladder first. Make them earn their keep for once. Put on a suit and a pair of glasses and think you can just stand there for the rest of your career, you lazy. Read your damn emails if you got nothing better to do. Should we be seated in a certain way for? There is no cast for sake. Oh. But then the strategy of becoming intoxicated in order to avoid. I made that up. You're the lawyer. There any truth to what I said? No need for tricks like that. Attorney-client privileges already binds my hands. I'm working for House Ikaria right now, Sarah. I mean, hell. Makoto could confess to me that he's a mass murderer and I wouldn't be able to tell a soul. So then why did you send Makoto away, Mr. Chairman, sir? I want to walk the gardens. Were we supposed to follow him? He left that part unsaid. How can you tell? Hey, quick strategy meeting. You know what a butler is, right? I'm glad you have such an appreciation for attorney-client privilege, sir. Makes these conversations go much smoother. But if you trust privilege so much, why don't you trust your grandson to be here? Don't kid yourself, Copper. That boy is the future of this family. If I didn't trust him, there would be no point to any of this. Everything I built. Dynasties aren't dynasties unless you manage to actually pass them down. What you built in the last 30 years is undeniably impressive. Must require astonishing brutality. Progress is brutality. And history is unkind to the gentle. Is that why you orchestrated the fall of the leaves to get your name in the history books? Orchestrated, so grand, so full of it. We knocked on their doors and when they opened them, we shot them. Walked up to them on the street and split their stomachs open wide. Pulled up beside them and let loose full auto on their limos. Wasn't anything as complicated as orchestrated. I executed. My uncle named me his successor for it. The Blue Bloods weren't even able to put up a fight. They were worried about handshake events and social media perception. Thought their friends in high place would be there when they needed them. Thought they had already won. So how'd you get away with it? Good timing. No one notices a leaky faucet in a downpour. It was right before the Red Decade got underway. And once the border started locking up, there was no chance of reinforcements. We never saw it coming. We didn't know there was a bubble. We didn't think things would get that bad. That's what they always say. The losers. The scapegoats paraded in front of courts and cameras to meekly reassure the national audience that no, you couldn't have done anything. You did everything right. So did we. We're all victims of uncontrollable market forces here. Sale bread for a piss poor circus. Based? What a with a pity party instead of proper gladiators. I saw the signs, but more importantly, I didn't ignore them. Drought from heaven. No grain in the storehouses. There'd only be room for one family of thieves in this city. I made sure it was mine. Last call, all aboard. And everything you built since? Renogen, Aurora Holdings, the legitimate half you're so proud of? That was the easy part, actually. Reprivatizing an industry is tricky business. How do you break up a state-controlled monopoly into a healthy, diverse, and competitive private marketplace? How? Don't know. I'll let you know if they ever pull it off. The shit so they did go with was easily gamed. Sprinkle some cash in the right bureaucrats' pockets, and we were able to snap up entire economies wholesale. We being the neo-ability? That's a term you prefer? I don't know. Why is he confessing? He's not confessing, Sarah. This is bragging. Mr. Akari, I'm not looking to take up too much of your time, but perhaps you could help me understand something. The inciting incident, as they say, in screenwriting. They say in elsewhere too, probably. A year ago, you extended an olive branch to the Blue Bloods over Nirvana. Was it genuine? My curiosity was genuine, but not your financing. Is that why it fell apart? Why Makoto was attacked? Fell apart because those first gens and young bloods of theirs are hot-headed idiots who can't follow orders. But I expected as much. It's why I ordered my hound to be present on standby. But he didn't assassinate anyone that day, did he? No. Instead, Sosuke stepped in front of a blade that was headed for Makoto, and he's been guarding the boy with his life ever since. Was that your order as well? My order, yes. Not my idea. But I'm the patriarch, not a dictator. If my sweet siblings and darling nieces and nephews make an earnest request, who am I to refuse? You had to be pressured into letting Sosuke guard Makoto? Weren't you concerned about Makoto's safety? Of course I was. I just know the best place for the queen is on the attack, not hopping around the king's side blocking checks. Hey, chess metaphor, help me out. Any piece can sacrifice themselves, but there's only one queen, and she has by far the most mobility. It's better to keep her out in the open, ideally, near the center of the field where she can attack freely, at least assuming you subscribe to. Okay, got it. But here's the question. Why have the Blue Bloods keep trying to capture Makoto for over a year now? Because of some hot-tempered idiots? What's your answer? Why do you think they would want to capture a little Makoto-tan? His blood, the ransom, revenge. Yeah? All three? Like they said, revenge? I'm here again. Hello, Lady Oak. All of these are ridiculously good. Make me do all the raids. I'm not gonna complain. I'm gonna go with the ransom. Restore the Akari for a king's ransom once. After Akari would make them pay in every other way. Even if the price tag was big enough to ease all the Blue Bloods' woes, the resulting gang war would drain the coffers the same. Kill for money, but for them to take Makoto hostage? Yeah, for Makoto's, but they want a steady supply. Mirai suggested they try for an arranged marriage down the line, but Kim didn't seem interested in anything of the sort. Blue Bloods aren't lacking in motives for revenge. A bloody culling followed by 3 decades of humiliation was more than enough. But the most fitting revenge would involve them killing Makoto, not taking him captive. Yeah, that's what they said earlier. Well, I can imagine plenty of ways to enact revenge from a living subject. Gangs have to maintain a balance between being feared and being tolerated. The Blue Bloods probably tortured a child to death. They'd be run out of the lower wards by their own constituents. Well, they wouldn't want to capture Makoto. They don't. A certain mama said as much to my face. They'd much rather kill your soul heir than capture him. It's what I'd do. So this is like a VN. This is like Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney. more like. It's a detective game. You're a defense. Yeah, it's like a detective game. But you are also a criminal. Yeah, like that. They had any heirs left. But then why keep attacking Makoto if not to capture or kill him? Their goal's never been Makoto. It's just that every time they've gone after their goal, Makoto's been there. You mean, put another way, the purpose of an operation is what the operation accomplishes. They've been trying to capture Sosuke for over a year. The other day, they finally succeeded. I think those idiot punks wanted to take my hound alive? I don't think. I know, because that's literally what they did. They captured Sosuke and brought him down to the lower wards to torture him. Idiots. And they don't talk after the third. They never talk at all. The third what? It wasn't just any blue bloods that tortured him. It was a pod led by a young blood named Creek. Young, old, bound by blood or water. They're all the same scum. As you say, but I've learned that there are some pretty big ideological risks among that scum. The young bloods captured him, no doubt an old guard orders, but just an hour later an old guard was asking after Sosuke's health. They didn't want him harmed. A generous interpretation. I'm guessing the young bloods knew that, but they tortured him anyway. All because they wanted to know why they've been repeatedly ordered to capture him. Out with it, why would they want my hounds? What the Bloodbounds ultimately want is simple, so simple that my android can answer this one. I can? What do the Blue Bloods need right now? More than anything, a lot of money, without which they can't invest in legalized nirvana. Such a shame that, but we'll be happy to pick up where they left off. So at a time when they need money, they're throwing their young blood at capturing Sosuke. Ergo, capturing Sosuke must open a path for them to get their hands on a lot of cash. My, I look away for a few days and suddenly my hound skyrocketed in value. Who do I have to thank? Who raised the price on his head to such a degree? What about Sosuke makes him so valuable? His blood? Doubt it. His ransom? Doubt it. A trained killer, skilled in infiltration, and what, the blow sense we're gonna brainwash him, have him teach a Seminai? It has nothing to do with his abilities. Who raised the price on Sosuke's head? You did. True. 30 years ago, you made him irreplaceable when you killed everyone else who shared a drop of his blood. Sosuke is the Little Lord, last descendant of the Blue Bloods ruling families, and the only person on Earth who can get them back their fortunes. Hell of a shot in the dark. That's what I'm saying, Daisuke. You gonna deny it? Sarah, when did the attack supposedly on Makoto begin? About a year ago. What else happened a year ago? The meeting between the Blue Bloods and the Ikaria that fell into chaos. Makoto made it out without a scratch, but only because Sosuke stepped in front of a blade for him. I can assume that Sosuke is an impressive martial artist, with very wide defend pectorals and collarbones. But even he must have bled blood on the floor that day. Yeah, he bled that day, but it's not like he bled blue. You tell me the old guards could just smell the resemblance? They didn't need intuition or guesswork. Their private security organization, Sinus, is in the business of securing crime scenes, cleaning them up, and performing paternity tests. Could have been a whim. Could have been they were hoping to match him to DNA left at other hound attacks. Who knows? That would pay good money to have been a fly on their wall when they saw the results. The reaction to this information is not very strong. That's to be expected. I've just told him a bunch of information that he already knew. He already knew Sosuke was the Little Lord. That chess metaphor you used a minute ago might have sounded like solid reasoning if I actually played. Unfortunately for you, I find the game boring. So it struck me as very odd that a grandfather like you, equal parts doting and calculating, would ever place his hair's safety below concerns as vague as optimal play. You didn't subject to Sosuke guarding Makoto because you wanted to keep your hound. You just couldn't convince the rest of the house it was a bad idea without revealing who Sosuke really is. He knew Sosuke was the real target and would keep getting attacked. Then having him guard Makoto would actually be putting Makoto in danger. You know bonsai? They look like miniature trees, but they aren't. They're shrubs. You condition it to look like a miniature tree by pruning it daily until it stops trying to grow into what it's meant to be. Instead, lives as what you want it to be. It took the Blue Bloods 30 years to figure out my scheme, and you solved it in what? 48 hours. You deserve a toast. Now I wish that Saki was in the storeroom. In at the middle of it. It really, you missed a lot. Holy. This game is released in episodes, right? This second episode has been really fucking good. And really confusing if you haven't been here for all of it. I'll admit that. Instead, as a reward for your efforts, I'll give you a story. 30 years ago, I saw the future. Not in statistics or stock prices or consumer confidence indexes. I saw it in people's eyes. Fear and delusion. The sinking feeling that maybe everything really is made of bullshit and seafoam. And that if you ever stop looking down at it, you'll fall through to the bottom. Can't warn people. They won't believe you. They'll strangle you to death for implying their boat might have a leak. Only one thing to do in times like those, take advantage. For 1 year, we pulled back. No resistance, no bargaining. We let the Blue Bloods hungrily swallow what we had left behind. For 1 full year, we withdrew and waited and sharpened our knives. 1 year preparation for 1 weekend in August. Hottest August on record. They left all the goddamn windows open. Fuck, that's smart. So it went fast. We'd show up, get the work done, leave the mess for whoever cared to see it, drive up to the next address. I did 22 myself. And even had you asked me before then, I couldn't tell you the first thing about any of them. Except for the 22nd. He had firm eyes, cold eyes. No, not that harsh. Cool eyes, like condensation on steel. And she was very brave. She? Did I say he? My bad. She. When I took aim at her, she blinked. Not even upset, just exasperated, like I neglected to hold the door for her. My mouth was dry. I felt like I hadn't spoken all day. I had to clear my throat to speak up so she could hear me over the blabbling of the river she'd fled to. The shot in the distance. Wanted to ask her why. Why out here? Why not a panic room? Why she was wearing a medical gown, and why her thighs were covered in blood. Instead, I just asked, why aren't you afraid? She said, I can't be afraid. I'm a mom now. I've always liked that answer. So when the pistols stopped ringing in my ears and I heard the baby wailing in the bushes, I felt inspired. Tradition in our family, going back centuries, that the eldest child be guarded from birth by a nursemaid, typically from a branch family. My wife would be due soon, and the Hayakawa clan had been an unfortunate casualty of that month. It was an opening. Expertly done. But why let him live? Adonai said I could invent the little lord. Build your opponent a golden bridge to retreat across. You started the rumors about a survivor. So long as those fools still had hope they could reclaim their former glory, they'd never rally themselves into chipping away at ours. If they ever did become a real threat again, I'd have the world's most valuable hostage ready to put them back in check. You turned your enemy's last hope into a meat shield for your family and eventually your personal attack dog. That was just a bonus. The heir had come of age, and so had Sosuke. He was free to choose any career in the family business at that point. He became the hound of his own accord, I'm sure. That's just irrelevant at the end of the day. What? It helps me understand why the Blue Bloods have done what they've done, but it doesn't put me in any closer to proving Sosuke's innocence. But Sosuke is their little lord. We tell people, won't that change anything? Well, for starters, we won't have any of this in court. Of course not. Can't exactly go telling the court about my exploits 30 years ago. Not when we have attorney-client privilege. But if you use your influence, if you reach out to the Blue Bloods, well, we'll work together to set Sosuke free. I killed everyone he could ever consider family, Copper. Besides a few old crooks waiting to die, anyone who shares a drop of his blood is in the ground. Most of them put there by me. I did all that to sink the Blue Bloods. Now that they're finally ready to die, you think I'd throw them a lifeline just to protect one man? Just to keep one man out of prison? He's right, I'm not allowed to disclose anything I've learned here without his express permission. Complicate the tax suit against my family terribly if it came out that I lied about a blood relation, wouldn't it? Sosuke's in the will, after all. That's the law. Didn't mean to run you in circles, honestly. Would have preferred you never wasted your time unearthing any of this. That's what I get for relying on him to deliver a message, I suppose. You're the one who wanted me to keep my investigation limited? I thought you'd get the picture and hurry up and make a plea deal. Negotiate the charges down to manslaughter. Get this all squared away so we could focus on fighting this damn audit. Audit. Sosuke's on trial for his life. Sosuke's sworn to protect this family with his life. I'm respecting his wishes. If he does go to prison, the Blue Bloods will die knowing their little lord is alive, but permanently beyond their reach, rotting in a cell for killing their own men, in defense of their own worst enemy. I can see why you wouldn't mind that outcome. A hostage that you're never willing to sacrifice isn't a hostage, just a babysitting gig. I spared his life 30 years ago. This doesn't even cover his interest. So Sosuke has always just been a tool for you, a hostage you protect until the perfect use case came along? I've always wondered, do tools appreciate that part? When they're used properly, what do you think, Copper? Does Sosuke have any complaints? That doesn't make sense. Ha! Sosuke is a veteran. He served in the military. Did you grant your hostage permissions to go risk his life for his country instead of you? It's not like he was one of those Minutemen they throw at walls. He was never in any real danger. What about as your hound? Deadly assassination infiltration missions. You could have died during any of them. Why let your perfect hostage, your obedient tool, take such a dangerous work? Why give him your last name? Why let him live under your roof, raise him like a son? Why trust him with protecting the life of your son, your grandson? Why are you lying and pretending you don't? Pardon my android's outburst, sir. I'll have to adjust our conversational parameters later. Don't bother. Just rip his voice out entirely if it's going to speak over a man under his own roof. Goddamn Copper. Next, the furniture will be telling me what I feel about my own damn family. Raise him like a son. What bullshit. I have no son. Counselor. Do your damn job and tell Sosuke to do his now. I'm sorry, that was very Butler-like behavior just now. It's fine, it was a good play in the moment. But, do you think he meant that? I don't know. Do you think he meant it when he said he has no son? Makoto is Daisuke's grandson. If he has no sons, then the previous heir that Sosuke grew up guarding must have been Makoto's mother. Everyone in your family has severe trust issues? I have no issues with trust myself. But as you've seen, the house has very particular preferences when it comes to information siloing. Fancy words, you could have just told me who you are. I told you my name and my position in the house. Is it relevant that I'm married, that I'm a mother? Should I be flattered? You told me you work for Aurora Holdings. You didn't mention you're at least the second most powerful member of the house. If I had to tell people that, it wouldn't really be true, now would it? You could have told me your relation to Sosuke. He guarded you every day of your life up until you were 19. 19, he's your goddamn brother. So that message you wanted me to pass along. See a way out, take it. You wanted him to try and make a deal with the Blue Bloods to get out from under the house. If Sosuke merely gave them what they wanted, I'm sure there would be dozens of Blue Bloods ready to confess to the crimes he is accused of. So you knew. And if you thought he could parse that message, that means Sosuke. He's not an unintelligent man. Merely stubborn about all the most frustrating things. Okay. What do the Blue Bloods want from Sosuke? Precisely, a blood donation? One sample will not suffice. They need to be able to validate their accounts whenever called for. Daily blood donations, then? I told you, the old guard wants to become nobility. How did they cement alliances among the aristocracy? Come on, brain. Of old. They want Sosuke to marry, but the old guard are old. Sosuke's already got as much blue in his veins as they could ask for. They don't need him to marry into them. They need him to marry into power. Not the worst thing to have asked of you. Have you ever been in an arranged marriage? Don't call it a gift. You were the heir apparent up until Makoto was born. All that time, Sosuke was your bodyguard. And driver. And poison taster, though that would most often entail me giving him concoctions to try. But his assignment actually ended when I was married. Subtracting Makoto's age, that had to have been over a decade ago. So he joined the military the moment he didn't have to shadow you anymore? And after he got back, he asked to become the Hound? Guy must have really hated guard duty. He must. Back up a moment. Your father didn't want me uncovering Sosuke's parentage. Yep. Most likely because he didn't want Sosuke to know the strengths of his own bargaining power. But you told me to pass Sosuke a message that he'd only understand if he already knew who his parents were. So how long has he known? And how long have you known he's known? When did Daisuke cease knowing who knows what? And when did Daisuke cease knowing who knows what? Around the time Sosuke left for the military. Hell of a thing to find out at your entrance physical. It was before he left for the military, actually. Did that influence his decision? Sosuke finds out he can be the richest man in the city, and then he wants to risk dying in battle? Quite the guilty class consciousness. I don't know exactly what did or didn't influence his decision to join the military back then. You have to ask him. Apologies for any gaps in knowledge you've had to work around. But hopefully you now understand how delicate of a situation you found yourself in. Yeah, I can smell the explosives and hear the fuses sizzling. I just don't get why no one's gone over to stomp them out. Sosuke's known this whole time why the Blue Bloods wanted to capture him. Why didn't he tell us? He's a stubborn man working for a highly secretive family. That I get. What I don't get is why he didn't defect the moment he learned the truth. Who knows? You have to work out the rest with him. I've given you all the aid my position allows. I suppose it was kind of you to share information with us at all. Being in charge of the legitimate side of the family, you don't have any connections with this incident yourself. Not quite. No connection with this incident. That's not quite accurate. Pardon. You do have a connection to this case, even if you yourself don't realize it. Found a note by the body of the Blue Blood who took Sosuke captive. It read, M. Ikaria. This was one of the men who attacked my son. Imagine a note with his name is the least of what you found. They've never been after your son, not once. It's always been about capturing Sosuke, and Makoto's just been in the crossfire. Which Sosuke knows, which explains his reluctance to accept the responsibility regarding Makoto. I seriously doubt this dead man was interested in Makoto Ikaria. Mariah Ikaria, however, had no relation to the world that dead man lived in. That was decided the day she was born, but you do have a relation to Renijin. Makoto mentioned your family was given one seat on the board as a show of respect. I take it that's a deception, too. You may have let Renijin go public, but you've never given up control of it. The rest of the board must be your family's puppets. But that doesn't matter. What matters is what Renijin makes, and the prices it charges. Renijin is best known for the patent of metformin, patent which expired years ago. Plenty of other companies making it now, and yet the price hasn't gone down. The invisible hand sets prices where it will. Sure, but this is your invisible hand. A normal corporation couldn't strong-arm its competitors into keeping prices high. That'd be operating as a cartel. But the reincarnation of the Ikaria drug cartel would know exactly how to go about that without getting caught. If that were true, it'd be much easier than you make it out to be. Right email signature, the right package delivered to the right address, the right look. These executive types scare easily when the perceived threat is anything bordering on the physical. Of course, it helps that the end result is we all profit immensely. But yes, metformin is very lucrative. What of it? That Dead Man Creek had a brother with expensive tuition and TAD. Type 2 abnormal diabetes? He'll need metformin for the rest of his life. And he really ought to choose the proper insurance plan, don't you think? I don't get the impression that family member coverage is a benefit the Blue Bloods offer. I suppose even the Mob Act has its limits. Yes, one could find the name of M. Ikaria in relation to the Renijin board if they looked hard enough. So you think this Creek individual is going to threaten me? Come up to me on the street with a knife or gun? You wouldn't get within 100 meters. I don't doubt that. Now the rest of this is speculation, but he might have just wanted to contact you. That would have been even less likely to succeed. So you truly don't care that his brother needs this medicine. Sosuke is like a brother to you, and you've gone out of your way to help him even when you stand to gain nothing from it. Yes, but I wouldn't expect my enemies to be impressed by the efforts. How would you feel if they laughed at your efforts? My apologies, new android still adopting to conversation. You know what we sold back before Renijin? For this facade of nobility, back when we were the Ikaria cartel? Opioids? Yes, it was still illegal back then. But not for everyone. Take the exact same components, put them in an extended release pill and sell it at the pharmacy. And that's just pain management. It's all the same poison, equally addictive whether you get it from a dealer or a doctor. Have you ever seen someone go through opioid withdrawal? Like taking a wine opener to your stomach for 7 days straight, they testified. Pain like that eats people alive, slowly replaces them with something unrecognizable. A loving parent would steal from their own child if they thought it could buy them release from that kind of pain. Painkillers, what a joke. Does Religion produce painkillers? No, we do not. People die if they don't get the medicine they need. I'm sure their families mourns them. But addicts die a little more every day of their life until they die, the day they finally fade out forever. And their families feel disgusted with themselves for breathing a sigh of relief. Plenty of kinds of evil in this world, little girl. Plenty to choose from. For real people like us, if you don't choose, the choice is made for you. Now wipe that look off your face and access the following address. renegade.main.financing.prescriptionfinancingoptions.out-of-pocket.apply. You have that memorized. This portal is not listed or linked to anywhere on the site, I know, but it still works fine. By law, we have to have it, but we can't be blamed if the website is poorly designed. If you know any despondent crybaby college students looking for coupons to help pay for medication, they might want to start there. Thank you. Let's go! Reveal a hidden connection between wearing... Okay, I can't read the rest of it. Don't thank me. Don't. I can't stand it. Just save Sosuke's life. Don't know how you pulled that off. Don't I? They do consistently refer to themselves as a house. Perhaps they simply value family more than you think. Attainment. Oh, do we get to see Dora again? So, where should we begin? What do you mean? I'm afraid I don't have anything new to tell you. Starting about all the most frustrating things, was it? I'm your lawyer, Sosuke. We're sworn to always do what's best for our clients, their rights, and their privacy, to an extent that many consider extreme. We're unable to disclose incriminating or otherwise problematic information that our clients give to us, no matter the circumstances. This whole system is designated to benefit the defendant. So it really upsets me when I find out my clients are lying to me about vital information that can help me save their lives. If you're troubled by the nature of my work as the Hound, you're adopted. Yes, from the Hayakawa. That's bullshit. You know it, I know it. And people whose opinions you respect know it. Fine. All members of the military have extensive DNA samples on record. If I subpoena... Alright, stop. Just stop. Does the military keep all of its members' DNA on record? I don't know. Probably, right? Morgan! Yes, I know what you are referring to. Even before I knew, I did wonder. If you've known about your real family for more than a decade, why haven't you ever... Because it doesn't matter. Try telling that to the Blue Bloods. They've been risking a gang war for over a year trying to get to you. That's their choice. It has nothing to do with me. How can you... I'm appalled, Sosuke. How could a brave soldier serving the House of Ikaria allow violence to continue when he knows he can stop it? A worthy attempt, counselor. Sorry. Guess I'm not used to having to persuade people to act in their own best interests. Or that of their family. Family. The Ikaria raised me, fed me, taught me how to read, write, walk. They gave me a home, a purpose. They're using you. They need me. They've got a funny way of showing it. I owe everything to them and nothing to the dead. They're only dead because the man you call a father murdered them. He did that a long time ago to people I've never met. You have to forgive me if I'm short on empathy for complete strangers. Aunts, uncles, covens, parents, siblings. You can't call them complete strangers, Sosuke. Can't I? The Ikaria are my family. Nothing will change that. Nothing ever could. Let's test that. Pardon? The state thinks you murdered a cop. They'll make sure no one ever thinks of following your example. Let me repeat that. The full brunt of the police state is about to fall directly on the back of your neck. Hammer. Nail. I'm not afraid of prison. You ever been in one? Know what? No, They shave you. What? When you're convicted, they shave you for hygiene. It's not for hygiene. Are you talking about that virtual work release thing? Do they fit you for skull caps? Not right away. They don't have to do that to people. Put a man in chains, strip him naked, sew his mouth shut. He'll still recognize himself in the mirror. He's still a person. But shave his head, give him a uniform, make him sit in the dark for 500 others who've been treated the same, he starts to forget. Forget that he's a person. After you're so bored, you're seeing constellations in concrete after you're scratching your skin raw just to feel something new. That's when they ask if you'd like a job. After people stop being people. How could you even know any of that? All people lose their personhood. I'm a defense attorney, Sosuke. Who else gets to see the inside of a prison and walk away afterwards? Goto sent me himself. So you never actually took your one phone call, did you? I take my phone and call Hana Kim. Blue Bloods will volunteer as a fall guy to confess these crimes and he'll walk free. After which he'll become one of the richest men in the city overnight. That's not... You're at all curious. I have done some calculations to estimate the contents of your familial holdings. The number is quite remarkable, though I suppose I haven't taken taxes into account. No one's asking you to abandon the Ikaria. You could become their greatest ally. Together your families would. I know exactly what would happen if I made that deal. I won't do it. Why the hell not? Why not, Sosuke? You're forgetting a few small details involved in this process. Namely, disowning the people who raised me my entire life. And claiming myself before the world the son of people I've been fighting since I was a teenager. How shameless do you think I am? Daisuke, that man raised me like his own son. In return, I can't throw away the name he gave me just for goddamn money. Treat your men as you would your own beloved sons. They'll follow you into the deepest valley. Is that it? You would rather rot in prison as an Ikaria than live in luxury as a blue blood? Gladly. This is my answer, Morgan. If you try and use my parentage in the trial tomorrow, I'll dismiss you as my counsel and change my plea to guilty. If that's your answer, then that's your answer. You're the client. What you say goes. Right. So if you somehow last another night without the cops smothering you in your sleep, we'll need some kind of strategy when we go into court tomorrow. Of course we will. And what are your thoughts on the matter? I might find a window of opportunity. A chance that someone other than you had the means, motive, and opportunity to commit these crimes. I remember something else about your captivity. Maybe, if we go over it again and I extrapolate somewhat, or a lot, we need to be prepared. You're going to be called to the stand tomorrow. All you do is keep silent, right? You better not. I'll be the one asking the questions. You're going to call him to testify. What do you expect me to stay up there? I want you to tell the truth, of course. I want you to tell the court exactly how you were set free. Alright, you good taking another night shift? He's infuriating, but I'd rather he didn't get shanked at the moment. Of course, Adonai. Detective Lennon will be back shortly, and I'll make sure Sosuke is monitored all night. What is it? You gonna ask me to explain his decision? Because I'm done trying at this point. I don't think his decision is that confusing. He wants to be loyal to the people who've shown loyalty to him. Shown loyalty. Do you need a microscope to see it? You spot any members of the noble house of Ikaria around here? Are they hiding under a box somewhere? The people who've shown loyalty to him historically. The decision doesn't confuse me, but his choice of words. He considers the Ikaria's true family, yet he again spoke of a debt to them. That seems odd to me. What do you think? I don't know. Did they really shave everyone in prison, or was that another bluff? Not everyone, no. Only everyone who couldn't pay the fees. $8:44 of the same day, huh? Ah. Good puzzle feels satisfying to complete. Like a good story, it maintains its appeal even when viewed in hindsight. A bad puzzle doesn't make sense after you finish it. The picture's there, but it's muddled, vague, and you feel like an idiot for bothering to piece it together, true. Sosuke Ikari is that kind of puzzle. I fit every edge to every edge, just so. The result wasn't satisfying. An infuriating client to cap off a frustrating case. How to keep track of what the cops know, what the Blue Bloods know, what the Ikaria are hiding, what Emma's thinking, what I've learned, what I know to be true, what I can prove, and what I can actually say. Even after all that, getting kneecapped when my client refuses to play his best cards. I want to clear my head, or maybe empty it. Watch? Oh, hell no. What we got around here? Look? Not in the mood for people watching. Sometimes if I let my eyes unfocus, the massive foot traffic on the street below melds into one dark amoeba, curling slightly at its edges as it squirms along the petri dish of the world around me. Its edges lost beyond the horizon, which can be zen in its own way. Guessing that's what people see in ant farms, but I wouldn't know. Who the hell would want more insects crawling around their house? Bake? I'm not hungry. Baking is satisfying. Applied chemistry, which is just applied math. True! That's why I like baking as well. But the cleanup isn't fun. Yeah. When I don't have a neighbor I'm trying to butter up or a client to visit, everything just sits in my freezer until I end up throwing it out. Sarah seems to shovel it all down without complaint, but she's not here now. I was still slaving away in that witch's office I never wanted for hungry mouths. Coworkers will eat anything you leave out in a break room. If I ever get truly desperate to hide evidence, I'll just bake it into a pie and find an office birthday party to crash. It'll be gone without a trace in minutes. Honestly, you do have a pretty nice apartment here. Don't feel like finding something to stream. Sarah's messed up all my recommendations anyway. My homepage used to be great, tuned to a T. I get closed circuit footage of industrial machine accidents and gun disassemblies with no commentary in the title. I see. Now it's all street workout videos and film director tier lists. The end result is my entry history looks a little more random to an outsider. I guess I can forgive it. If she ever gets me added to mailing lists for diet supplements, I'm fully revoking her net access. This is pointless. Might as well close my eyes and wait. Even staring daggers into the backs of my own eyelids would do more good than this. Whatever this is. Hey, cool kid. You go to jail for starting this pyramid scheme of an extracurricular activity. Does that help or hurt your chances of becoming a lawyer? You're trying to recruit members because if you don't hit critical mass, this all falls apart? It's exactly like a pyramid scheme. Well, I don't know that I can give you advice since I'm only a member on paper, but if you want to start a club for solving mysteries, maybe you should, solve one first. I don't know, ask questions, talk to people, I guess, record what they say. Take notes and think hard. Oh, you never know. It can be pretty persuasive, or at least entertaining. I mean, I'm still sitting here for some reason, right? Guess I fell asleep after all. It's still dark out, though. What time is it? 5 in the morning? It says 9:40 on my phone. I slept for 30 minutes. That's it. REM sleep is, can be pretty quick. A lot can happen in like a 30-minute REM sleep. Oh, am I really about to give up and start scrolling on my phone? Check my temperature. There might be something wrong with me. I don't feel like going to find a thermometer. Sorry, thermostat. I don't know. How about a bet? 300 says the first article that pops up is an advertisement. There's always good news every night. Beloved school janitor given dance-off salute by students after having to postpone retirement for a third time. Double or nothing. Federal investigators recovered Denning girl. Well, congrats on no longer being kidnapped. You just cost me 600, you little shit. The nation rejoices tonight as the daughter of renowned philanthropist Joseph Denning has been confirmed home and safe thanks to efforts of the federal investigators created by a playbook that applies old techniques to tackle new challenges. CEO of Constancy, which was at the time marketing firm and virtual advertising. Heads Up Display Services cracked open the previously uncharted market of active duty armed forces members, serving them relevant, relatable, automatic generated content, and informed them about the products they wanted waiting for them on their doorsteps when they got home. The leading advertising agency in the world, Denning thought he'd finally get to spend time with his family when he gracefully stepped down as CEO while serving as COO in an advisory role. But tragedy struck earlier this week when his daughter was kidnapped on her way home from school in an attack investors described as meticulously planned and flawlessly executed. Attackers contacted Denning family and demanded an exorbitant ransom of an undisclosed amount. A lesser man would have panicked, or worse, given it to their demands. Fortunately for his daughter, Dennings is not a lesser man. attention. We need every minute we can get. It's really quite remarkable that Mr. Dunning was clear-headed enough to contact us right away, said one investigator. Investigator sprang into action, of course, but here our story takes a curious turn. Instead of searching the map for the young Dennings girl, they mapped out the psychology of the kidnappers themselves. We wouldn't really describe this as a terrorist act, but the sick, twisted terrorists who committed this atrocity did do us the courtesy of communicating openly and often. From the way they spoke, the words they chose, we started to narrow down their possible backgrounds, and when we revisited the crime scene. Through the footage of kidnapping that indicated terrorists had military-level training and discipline, carrying out the attack in a so-called quartet formation considered a signature of the military's elite's hostage retrieval squad. Read handbooks and try to copy what they've seen in military sims, but this brutal act of class-motivated violence was carried out without so much as a shot fired, miraculously. Skills like that, unfortunately for the suspects, are as unique as fingerprints. We had warrants to search all 4 suspects' properties within the hour, while some less dignified members of the press questioned the nature of this horrific crime, asking pointed questions about a possible relation between Mr. Dennings' past work and the suspect's military background. Avoided the mudslinging with a subsequent reply of no comment. Yeah, fair. Mr. Dennings' business associates have no bearing on the value of his daughter's life, which I am glad to say is no longer in any danger. For that, we have to thank the efforts of the brave young investigators to my left here. Special Investigator Ayase, Technical Analyst Solkov, Special Agent Greenfield, and Special Agent Beckham. Together they are you as infuriated by anti-authority and outside actor anarchists inciting anxiety on our stress streets anonymously. Join us in making our push to make all internal internet searches tied directly to citizens' tax return ID. That's crazy. How's that for long odds? What are the chances I see that name? Perfect timing, actually. Maybe chewing out Mirai for keeping me in the dark is just a nightcap I need. That woman was like a black cat, charming one day. Oh, hang on. That knock sound doesn't sound like Mirai. Oh, wait. That voice almost sounds like... Open up already, you shit. Better check the door cam. Detective, is that you? Open up. Pardon? I said open up. Oh, she did find the bar at the end of the day, didn't she? Hang on, are you? Don't pretend you can't hear me in your little creep cave, you little creep. Detective Reyes, are you drunk? Yes. No. It's a crime for you to ask me that. Oh. I can just wave my badge hello to the door cam. My door just unlocks like that? That cannot be legal. Oh, it's not legal. What? Wait, what model of door is it? Oh yeah, this model of door in this city zoning. It is legal for me to lock your door like that. Guess Han had a point. Needing to make spare keys is a fair trade-off to avoid this bullshit. And since you just invited me in, I did not. Here I am, above the book. What is happening right now? Why is your ceiling all the way up there? Who do you kill to get a place this huge? No comment. What do you even do with this much space? Hanging from the rafters like a bat? Echo? Echo. Detective, this is absurd. Does anyone even know you're here? What? Let me check. Detective Reyes, badge number 1086, reporting on all channels. Self-assessment, protective surveillance, a suspected criminal target. Threats assessed as low to medium. Target capabilities, not a threat to self or others. Reporting in from, what's your address? Do not dox me to every cop in the city, Reyes. Reporting in from, address withheld. Any copies? Over. Copy. Cam saw you enter the building. Copy, reading your bio monitor. We've got you 10-8-06. Have a quiet night. Are you finished? How'd Reyes find this place? Probably ask London, if I had to guess. Hey, where's the snowball? What? She waves her hands in a rough approximation of something cloud-shaped. Snowball, pure crowball, matcha ball. Sarah's doing her job. Likely story. You probably make her sleep in a coffin in the parking garage. Going off of David's setup, she might have been more comfortable if I did. Is this booze? That's water. Yeah, God. Can I do something for you this evening, detective? Or did you come here just to critique my interior decorating and knock shit over? Came here because I'm drunk. I'm drunk because you're in danger. No, their way around. I drank because I was pissed. And Cass made everyone else told me to go home. Even though he shot a guy only a few hours ago. I'm the one who's too emotional and too useless. So I came here to catch a bad guy. Because you are defending the cop killer. Who's also an orchid killer. A whale cop killer. Killer whale cop. Every goddamn minute in the city wants to shoot him. And also you, because you're his stinking lawyer. Thanks. And I'm a cop. Cops are supposed to protect people. Even stinky lawyers. Thanks. So I'll park myself right here and catch the next assassin they send after you. Then lock him up and throw away the key. And if I accidentally save your life too, that's okay. Even if you don't deserve it. You could have just stopped talking. I can stop talking easy. Do you really not have anything to drink? I'm not sure I want to drink with you, detective. Who invited you? You know? Fair. You're the host, do whatever. But I'm gonna do what I gotta do, and where the hell's the screw top? If I have to host a drunk Detective Reyes for the rest of the night, as I evidently do, suppose I need to force myself to go through the oh dear sober. I'll get a bottle opener, detective. Oh shit. I said I'll get it! Wait. This is the best part of the vid, where he breaks down the horsepower. For years, they all abided by this gentleman's agreement, where their engines would have horsepower capped at 270 or so. To avoid like this arms race of engineering in a country with such a huge street racing scene. You know, Reyes, I think you would really like F1. You got her watching car videos. Right. But the crazy part is, it was the only ever on paper. They were building and selling cars at 300 plus horsepower. And they all just listed the horsepower as 270 domestically. Yeah. And God, everyone knew it. I mean, they were selling the same car with the same engine, the same goddamn torque rating in 2 different countries. And they were saying, oh, I don't know. I think it's only 276. That's crazy. I was born in the wrong generation. I'll die without ever knowing what gasoline smells like. Gasoline is odorless. What? It's odorless. They add a strong smell during refinement so that leaks could be noticeable. That's natural gas, you dummy. Scared me for a second, jeez. You're gonna try and ruin something for me that I never even had a chance of experiencing. You better get it right. Doesn't know the difference between gas and gasoline. So, you knew Chopin? So you knew Chopin? God. We dated, okay? Happy? Oh, that is information. I wouldn't have guessed that. That's true. Oh no, they're both like real fucking hard asses, right? Having never spelled gasoline yet. For how long? Once. Which is not a lot. Duh, I know. It was such a shitty date. Wore his uniform like I was supposed to salute. And God, was he cheap. I said, what do you tip the bartender? And he got all confused. He just handed me 2 cans. Why would I tip? Because you tipped the goddamn bartender, man. That's why. You can always tell when someone grew up with money. Maybe they just can't hide it. Maybe none of them have ever learned the decency to try. Rockford's not so bad. I mean, it's obvious still, but the airhead part's kind of offsets it. Yeah, that's... What do you mean? Emma comes from money? Guess you can call it... Even you can tell a joke. Worst date I've ever been on. Wade just looks like she was gonna stab him. You'd think he was allergic to salt with all the nitpicking he did. And then he has the balls to tip 10%. That is bad. Oh, what do you know? You probably haven't been on a date since the 60s. Reyes, come on. How old do you think I am? I was talking about the tip. What tip? Oh, the tip. Oh yeah, but still. Do you even have a dating profile? Or do you just hang around funeral homes and castles and shit looking for other creatures of the night? I don't have a dating profile. You met Chopin through an app? Yeah, dating app for cops. There's a dating app for cops? Yeah, just for cop. Just for all. Why is it called just for all if it's just cops? It's a... Oh, it's a pun. Well, not really a pun. Wordplay. Play on words for justice for all. The cop catchphrase. We say it all the time when we catch people. There's an app for everyone. Probably even lawyers with sun allergies. I don't think there's an app for me. Hang on, let me project a hologram of the world's smallest violin outside my eye socket. Apps suck anyway. This one I matched, she was terrible. Her teeth. She was trying to smile or some shit. She was all teeth. Think it was her first kiss. Remember your first? I don't know why everyone's always so concerned with firsts. The hell does that mean? Don't worry about it. I never once given a second thought to anything you say. So get that straight. Wanted to slap the guy's dumb face at the end of that date. But then I didn't even recognize him. When Lone and I came in, he was face down. Whole floor blood, just blood and paper. Couldn't turn him over, had to preserve the scene. Just had to leave him there. In order for murders, maybe they'd stop killing for a bit. I don't think Morgan would use that app either, to be honest. Sorry, I'm not sorry, I'm angry. You seem to get angry a lot. You been to anger management? You know what that's about? Managing anger? Keeping calm, not letting your emotions control you. I'm great at all of that. If you say so, I do say so. With what I'm feeling most of the time, I'm a goddamn saint with how calm I stay. I'm just too small. Little hole in the bottom of a big water fountain. Fills up faster than I'll ever drain it. It'll ever drain. If I was big, I'd trample the whole city down long before my anger's gone. Didn't even seem like people from that hall. Just two people-shaped things face down in blood. Sosuke and Chopin, they were both face down. What? Yeah. Because Rogers was cuffing Sosuke on the ground. Rogers, what a klutz. That guy couldn't cuff a cow. A cow? I don't know, something that'd cuff especially easily. A dress shirt. Oh, what do you want? A round of applause? Everyone clap for the world's greatest, wordsmith. Just shut up. Persuading her to remove her shoes and socks before tossing her up the stairs is the very upper limit of my patience. Making it off the floor and onto the bed is up to her. I don't care. I can sleep on my couch. I can sleep in my chair if I had to. Fall asleep in any position, actually. It's not actually worth bragging about, especially to myself. So now a homicide detective knows where I live. Guess the address is on my business card, downside of a home office. At least it's fun to imagine how sick she'll be tomorrow. Can't remember a time I got that drunk, thankfully. Can't remember a time I got that mad. The last time I cried. Screw this. Introsection's a scam. I don't know if that's true, Morgan, but for you it might be. I'm not nearly so flush that I can afford to waste time on it. Oh my god, stop smiling like that. Yes, you found a teacher's missing key card. No, you're not Sherlock Holmes. Or whatever his lawyer was. Oh, I'm sure you're going to be the most popular kid in school overnight now. Well, I wasn't being that sarcastic. You better hope it's somewhat true. Deadline for your little club sign-up period is next week, isn't it? Actually, you'll need to find 4 members. You're going to be out that day. I'm going to be out that day. Family thing. What a face. You show everyone Poppy Dog Eyes that pathetic? Look, if you're going to be a lawyer, you'll need to get better at reading fine print. See, you need 5 members to found a club, but if you have at least 2 students present at the qualification time, you can get an extension. I mean, even you can get 1 person to join, right? Just use that winning personality of yours. It's a family thing. I can't say no. Nothing. I didn't say anything. 11:31 a.m. State Building. Floor 48. Must have weighed me down over 5 times. I've been in private banks with less active security than this. Were they private banks that had recently had a shooting? No. Then the comparison seems flawed. Armed guards in the hallway, drones outside the windows, androids standing firm in the streets, triple spectrum scans at every entrance. They really rolled out the red carpet for you this time. They were this concerned, why didn't they just move the trial outside of the city? District Attorney said as much, but the city council overrode them. District Attorney, you mean Miss Rockford? Miss Rockford's boss. Word of the attack yesterday is already trickling out. They can't afford it to delay, or it'll look like they've been successfully intimidated. There's such a thing as overcompensating. Now on the stage of security theater, we're about to look over the DNA analysis that scientists completed, don't I? The report on the bindings, yeah. Gave me a lot to think about. Fuck, where was that? DNA of subject A. Skin matches. Blood matches the DNA of subject A and subject E. Smiles Evans Miller. Miller? Why Miller? You're looking so much better. I don't feel better. They gave me some sort of injection last night. I woke up in much more pain, but they insisted on taking off all my bandages. Some sort of injection. Sosuke consented to an intravenous injection of a recovery accelerant at 9:33 p.m. last night. You consented without knowing what it was. I nodded. Thought it would help me sleep. Yeah, that interrogation floor isn't exactly ideal for rest, spoiled brat. The same guy who was confidently telling me he was fine with going to jail. What about you, Adonai? Were you able to get any rest? I slept like a rock. Eventually. Didn't even wake up when a certain unwelcome guest stumbled out the door in the early mornings, thank God. But it was an accelerant, huh? Oh, there was something familiar about this discomfort. They gave it to us back in the military on occasion. You heal up faster, but it still takes the same toll overall. Explains why I feel like all my bruises are fresh. Why'd they wait until now to start giving Sosuke medical attention, though? Emma must have realized it was getting a bit silly. Trying to accuse you of murdering 5 people when you looked like you had been thrown through a windshield. Don't worry, Sosuke. You're still handsome, even without the rugged edge that your injuries provided. Hearing that doesn't make me happy, you know. And why are you blushing? It's not like you're spotless. You still have a mark under your left eye. No, I've had that since birth. Oh. I was told once it's charming. Why do you bring it up? Is it not charming? So needy! Thank you for clarifying that for the court detective. That was the same short story you told me yesterday down in the lower wards. You and Reyes were the second on the scene, so they were focused on clearing the lower floors before meeting with Rogers. Good to have that on the record so I can look it over. But one was unlocked. For the next item on the docket, calling the defendant to testify. Seems like it's going to be a nothing burger. Not entirely, Your Honor. My witness waives his right to decline. Does he now? Sosuke Ikaria. I'm the head of personal security at the Ikaria Financial Group. The IFG. That's a family-run small business mom and pop operation, I take it? Family-run. Well, Mr. Ikaria, I feel like the court already has strong understanding of the circumstances you find yourself in. How you were captured and tortured by these 4 known criminal associates, all of whom are now dead. How you found sitting over the body of Officer Chopin. Suppose all anyone can ask is, what do you have to say for yourself? I can only tell you what I remember. Even if it's mostly pain. How about after the pain? How did it end? I woke up to the feeling of my blood drying on my skin. Familiar sensation for a head of personal security, I assume? Objection. I can answer. It was a novel experience. I pulled off my blindfold and felt like I'd stepped into the desert. White flaring in my eyes. Heart thumping in my temple. I realized there's a gun in my waistband. The indicator showed it was spent. Didn't know what to make of it. Does this gun look familiar to you, Mr. Ikaria? Yes, that's the same gun. The records show that witness has admitted to wielding the same Mag US used to kill 2 of the victims. Is this okay? I stumbled forward towards the door, and past it, the whole room seemed red. And after that, you don't remember? Anything else you'd like to say to the court, Mr. Ikaria, before we finish? There's one more thing I recall. Remember holding my sword. So he admits it. You remember holding your sword? Woof, that ain't good. That's very interesting of you to say, Mr. Ikaria. It was on the ground, and it's important to me, so I bent over and picked it up. You recall the next thing you did with the sword, Mr. Ikaria? No, the next thing I know, I'm being transported and read my rights. I see. Your Honor, do you feel we need to continue? The questioning? The trial? Ouch. Ready to begin cross-examination anytime, Your Honor. You insist. Round 1, fight. Surely you're past round 1 by now. Cut bindings. Yoryu. Magnus. Blindfolded and in pain. Managed to untie my bindings. Fucking no you didn't. Untie my ass. Sosei couldn't have untied his binding his way out of his bindings. Not when they were very clearly cut by something sharp. Objecting to a statement from your own client now. What do you mean, Morgan? These pieces of cloth we recovered from the room where you were held, Sosuke, and they are very clearly been cut. You didn't struggle your way out, you cut your way out. Yes, now that you mention it, that's right. But if I cut myself out first, Your Honor, the people ask that the defense do their testimony coaching before the trial begins from now on. As it stands, this has been a colossal waste of time. Yeah, I mean, this detail probably isn't important, right? It's very important, Your Honor. He used a blade to cut himself free from his bindings. That means Sosuke couldn't have gotten free. Until someone handed him a blade. Meaning that the people's theory of a daring escape mid-interrogation is doing just fine, thank you for asking. Most of us in the court here today seriously believe this man or his memory can be taken as truth. None of us. Never get him and just look at the bindings. They're hard physical evidence that they had been cut by something sharp. What do we know that fits that description? Do you think it was Yoru? His captors kept him bound in that room most of the night, then cut him from his bindings with the sword to bring him into the main room for questioning, where he turned the tables on them before slaughtering them all. Badass! Well, counselor, are we done here? Could the katana been used to cut those bindings? Looking at the actual bindings themselves. What do you mean looking at the actual bindings themselves? He's so annoying, Morgan. You know the answer, just fucking say it. Cleanly cut with something stark. Blood. Various points of the blade matches the DNA of Chopin, Miller, and Trey. Probably not. Actually, it couldn't have been the sword. The blood on the bindings? I'm just gonna raise. I don't think that's true. Of course it was the sword that cut those bindings. What do you mean? Problem lies with the DNA. Your Honor, if we could please draw the court's attention to the forensic analysis of the bindings, you'll notice your client's blood, obviously. Yes, obviously. But on closer attention, you'll also see the blood from Miller was found as well. The poncho guy, who was stabbed in the throat, as the court may recall, by our client's sword, as is no doubt still fresh in the jury's memory. Well then, how can that be, Your Honor? What do you mean? Is it not sharp enough? What a piece of... How could Miller's blood have ended up on the bindings that keep my client from leaving the room in which he was held? Unless Miller was attacked before my client was ever cut free. That's kind of a big deal, isn't it? I thought so, at least. She's lying. That's not possible. You thought wrong, counselor. It's true that the katana has blood from Miller's stabbing on it. And I'll admit that it's surprising to see his blood on your client's bindings. Miller's autopsy showed he had no wounds besides fatal puncture in his neck. The bindings on my client had to have been intact at the time Miller died. Those bindings didn't need to be cut before your client could kill him. What? Client's wrists were left bound for questioning. Could have stolen the gun, killed Tanks and Creek, then picked up his sword just as he stated in his testimony and set to work. You think my client was drugged and beaten before killing 4 men with his wrist bound? Hardly impossible for a man with his talent. There's no other explanation for why he would have cut his bindings with a sword that, as you insisted, must have already been used to kill. No other explanation. Not even use something else to break out of the confinement. Well, now's the time, if any. Oop. What if my client had used this to break out? What the hell is that? Way overcooked from what I can tell. It's a murder weapon, Your Honor. One recovered from the scene of the crime. That knife, yes, that's what I grasped when I first woke up. That's impossible. What she said. There's nothing about a knife found seared to perfection in the ARC data. Is it overcooked or seared to perfection? This knife was not found inside the building, Your Honor. I retrieved it from an alley immediately beside it. Your android did. Need her to submit video evidence of the entire afternoon to verify it, doubting Thomas. It's not the android I have trouble taking at her word, counselor. What forensics have been performed on it? There are no fingerprints remaining, and the DNA present in the blood is too damaged to be of use. But I have identified at least 2 different blood typings. AB minus and B minus, Your Honor. Your Honor, the people are, of course, interested in forensic analysis of any evidence that seems pertinent to the crime at hand. But this was received from an alleyway dumpster. A soup-filled drum near an alleyway dumpster. An alleyway in the lower wards. Without strong evidence linking it to the crime, I see no reason to entertain the idea that this is some kind of 4th murder weapon. 3rd murder weapon, what? The bat was post-mortem. The point still stands. Well, how about it, Morgie? Any link between this totally not suspicious fireball knife and our scene of the crime? Or should we just throw it in the back of the garbage? Again, it was a soup-filled drum by the garbage. Of course I have more to go on than mere proximity, Your Honor. I have proof right here that this knife was what Sosuke used to cut himself free. Cut on his left hand finger. Oh, I'm confident in this. The cut. We went over this earlier, remember? Oh, look at us. Just take another look at that. Your client's medical intake record? Little late to be still drumming up sympathy, but if there are shirtless photos in the file, I suppose I have a duty. There are. What? I did not remove my shirt fur. If I may, please direct the court's attention to one specific item. Slight laceration found on left hand. What do you mean slight? Like a paper cut? More like a cutting board accident. Neither paints a very gallant picture. But he had a cut on his finger when he was first arrested. It must have been sustained around the time of his escape. Like when he was using a knife to cut himself out of the binding while blindfolded. Yeah, that makes sense. Even a master swordsman can nick himself on his blade every now and then. His katana was found with a lot of blood on it, yes. But none of his own. Adonai is correct. Yoru was thoroughly tested and found to have blood residue matching Miller, Trey, and Officer Chopin, but not one drop of Sosuke's. Meanwhile, we have a knife right here ready to be submitted into evidence and studied under every microscope the state can find. That just so happened to have Sosuke's exact blood type on the tip. B minus, that blood type, doesn't match anyone in the case full file except for Sosuke. What? I do blood type fortune telling. So I have a hobby. Shoot me. 2 shots right to the base of my skull. Counselor Morgan, perhaps you might grace us all with your formal request. I call for this knife to be submitted into the record and forensically analyzed as quickly and thoroughly as possible, because I believe it is the murder weapon that actually ended Miller's life. A knife to the neck. Much easier to pull off than using the very tip of a sword. I'd hypothesize. Nice recovery. Perfect, Ukemi. In other words, then, you're asking for the medical examiner to reevaluate whether this might be a better fit for the wound in Miller's neck? Yeah, did you just repeat what she said but slightly rephrased? A conversational tactic to surpass metal. It's worth repeating, Your Honor, because the people understand the full weight of what this knife implies. And overturn this entire case in an instant, depending on what Sato finds. Emma's repeating what I said because she's stunned. I just flashed her my hand and it was 1 card away from a full house. People have no objections, Your Honor. This trial requires that we fully examine this new piece of evidence. Cool. Does someone have her number? Is there a group chat for everyone who works for the government, or is it already on her way? So there is a group chat and I'm not in it. She'll begin the examination as soon as she arrives. Guess I'll just slack off until she does then. Occurs to me, Your Honor, that we ought to thoroughly examine why this possibly critical piece of evidence was not found during the police's investigation. Investigation and preservation of the crime scene was a joint effort between the police and Sinus Security. Perhaps our next witness can shine a light on the source of this deficiency. And that, gamers, is all for today. That's right. I'm not going to let you read what she's saying, although I'm probably sure you can make it out. Yeah. Ooh, yeah. This game fucking rocks. Yeah. Am I allowed to say that? You're allowed to say it. Whether the judgment that people put on you is entirely different. Ah, I just got service back. I got Surface back, and I did, in fact, get some phone calls. Anyway, we'll be back with this on Saturday. Until then, I hope everyone enjoys the rest of their day. Perfect free getters joke. Remarkable. I'm real good at this. I'm a really good streamer, actually, I've decided. Anywho. Me looking up when chapter 3 of this game comes out. Yeah, I know, right? Y'all see you for creatures on Thursday. It's just tomorrow now. It's just tomorrow now. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Fish with Boots! Fish with Boots on Friday! Anyway, I hope you have a great rest of the day and tomorrow morning, and I'll see you then. Bye. Bye.